ITS. ITS is one of the best science and technology universities in Indonesia, which was founded by Dr. Angga in 1957. In every step, ITS focuses in advancing education, research, management, and community service. As an incorporated public university, ITS has been able to manage autonomously the policy of academics, organizations, finance, students' affairs, human resources, facilities, operational, and infrastructure.
In the spirit of Indonesian heroes, during the battle in the 10th of November 1945, ITS always makes efforts to be the best in education, research, and community services, especially in the fields of industry and maritime. ITS also actively contributes to the nation development, and in the future, ITS will become an entrepreneurial university with world-class reputation.
ITS has many achievements. Both national and international achievements prove that ITS keeps growing and gives the best contribution to the nation of Indonesia. ITS is a place for new hopes to grow. An ideal environment for the new generation to flourish in 3 strategic locations within the industrial city of Surabaya. As a smart eco-campus, ITS maintains harmony between technological advances and the sustainability of the surrounding ecosystem. ITS has 7 faculties with prospective scientific fields, including Scientics, INSIS, Vocation, Creatis, Martech, Electics, Plan, Interdisciplinary School. ITS is a space for the new generation who are hungry for knowledge because it provides a wide range of references in both physical and digital form. ITS makes it easier for the new generation to access information by providing flexible classes. ITS keeps moving forward in facing future challenges by providing the best facilities for the new generation's activities. The facilities support both spiritual and physical needs.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bella and my partner.
My name is Zulfikar.
Welcome to International Conference on Information and Communication Technology and System, ICTS.
First of all, let us praise to the Almighty God for allowing us to come here and participate together in this occasion.
Secondly, we would like to thank Your Excellency, Director of ICTS, Professor Muhammad Ashari.
Honorable Chair of IEEE Indonesian Section, Dr. Ing Wahyudi Hasbi.
Honorable Dean of Faculty of Intelligent Electrical and Information Informatic Technology, Dr. Institut Edi Purnama.
Honorable Head of Department of Informatics, Dr. Chastin Fatihah and Hudan Studiawan, PhD, as the Conference Chair.
Professor Tsao of Academia Sinica, Taiwan.
Professor Ferdous Sohel of Murdoch University, Australia.
Profesor Tohari Ahmad of Institut Teknologi 10 November.
Welcome to Informatics Department of Institut Teknologi 10 November, Surabaya.
We are honored to hear your ongoing speech.
We, as the committee, would like to thank you all for joining us today and participating in today's occasion. We hope we can learn some knowledge from this conference and apply it for the better society.
First, we would like to hear a conference statement by Conference Chair Hudan Studiawan, PhD. Please welcome, time is yours.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Hudan Studiawan, the chair of the 13th International Conference on Information and Communication Technology and System, ICTS 2021. First of all, I'm grateful to the Almighty God who kindly helped us to organize the ICTS 2021. I would like to express my deep gratitude to the chair of IEEE Indonesia section, Dr. Ing Wahyudi Hasbi, the dean of Faculty of Intelligent Electrical and Informatics Technology, Dr. Institut Edi Purnama, and the rector of Institut Teknologi 10 November ITS Surabaya, Professor Muhammad Ashari, for the willingness to accept our invitation and to open the ICTS 2021. In addition, I would like to thank the keynote speakers, Professor Tsao, Professor Ferdous Sohel, and Professor Tohari Ahmad for your willingness to share your knowledge with us. My sincere thanks to all members of ICTS 2021 organizing and scientific committee who have been putting in a lot of extra time for organizing all technical details for the conference. We thank all of you, the authors, the presenters, participants, and our staff and students for the participation in this event. This year, we received 158 papers from researchers around the world. Then we accepted 64 papers, and the acceptance rate is 40.5%. Last but not least, we would like to invite you to the next edition of ICTS. We also welcome all of presenters and authors from around the world, from Japan, Malaysia, Philippines, India, and all of the countries of the participants and authors. Thank you very much and good morning.
Thank you for the statement, Mr. Hudan Studiawan. Secondly, we would like to hear conference statement by Chair of IEEE Indonesian Section, Dr. Ing Wahyudi Hasbi. Please welcome. Time is yours.
Distinguished guests, colleagues, researcher professional, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, a prosperous and warm greetings. First of all, please allow me to greet the Honorable Director of Institut Teknologi Sepuluh Nopember ITS Surabaya, Professor Muhammad Asyari, the Dean of Faculty of Intelligence, Electrical and Informatic Technology, Dr. Iketut Edi Purnama, all the keynote speakers, Professor Tsao from Academia Sinica, Taiwan, Professor Ferdous Sohel, Murdoch University, Australia, Professor Tohari Ahmad from ITS, Indonesia, all distinguished speakers, committee, all participants, ladies and gentlemen. It's such an honor for me to be able to greet you all and give a few words to represent the IEEE Indonesia section at the opening of this conference. On behalf of Indonesia, IEEE Indonesia section, I would like to express my sincere gratitude and welcome you to the 13th International Conference on Information and Communication Technology and System organized by Informatics Department, Institut Teknologi Sepuluh Nopember, Surabaya, Indonesia. Distinguished guests, colleagues, researcher, professional, ladies and gentlemen. As we all aware, the impact of COVID-19 is felt in every aspect, and there has been a shift in the standard of living. It has strengthened the drive and encouraged intensified collaborations between governments, companies, and non-profit organizations. And it's also highlighted the required for communities to drag together and handle the risk. In just a few months' time, the COVID-19 crisis has brought about years of change in the way companies in all sectors and regions to do business. Broadband, wireless communication, 5G, Zoom, and other platforms, all of this technology have been elevated by this pandemic, including the highest demand of electricity in every houses due to the pandemic. Telecommunication technologies such as 5G and other means of wireless technology can reliably connect hospitals, ambulances, and homes to make the healthcare service more resource efficient and more effective to manage the pandemic together with normal operations. Another use of such wireless communications system is the effective tracing of potential COVID-19 contacts whereabout by employing cellular network type of localization techniques and offer disease management via integrated personalized mobile apps. In Indonesia, we call it as a Peduli Lindungi application. In such so, I believe that this conference is very relevant to these rapid changes and is very important in highlighting the innovation to accelerate the shift to digital and fundamentally shake up the living landscape. Distinguished guests, keynote speakers, ladies and gentlemen, IEEE Indonesia section as a regional organizational unit of IEEE was founded in 1988. And over the past 33 years, IEEE Indonesia has contributed significantly to various activities that encourage science and technology for humanity in Indonesia. Together with volunteers, members, and all stakeholders, IEEE Indonesia has produced various activities by supporting more than 60 high-quality conferences every year, including this conference. Compared with the previous years, in 2021, the conference supported by IEEE Indonesia is increased by 49%. The high-qualified conference papers within the scope of IEEE are published in the IEEE Explore Digital Library, indexed by Scopus, Web of Science, and any other major databases, with more than 5 million publications and more than 12 million downloads every month. As we all know, IEEE always maintain high-qualified publication as part of our intellectual culture. IEEE Indonesia also holds more than 40 professional, technical, non-technical, and administrative activities every year for all its members. Currently, we have more than 2,600 members and more than 60 senior members consisting of professionals, industry, academia, and government researchers. IEEE Indonesia also supported 26 technical society chapters and joint chapters 30 university student branches, and 9 IEEE student branch chapters. All these chapters have become forum for members to have various technical and social activities and provide Indonesian students members experiences. In addition to that, we also have 3 non-technical affinity group and interest group, namely IEEE Young Professionals, IEEE Women in Engineering, and IEEE Site on Health and Telemedicine interest group. On 27 July 2021, IEEE Indonesia also has established a cooperation agreement with the Directorate General of Higher Education, Research and Technology, in which IEEE actively support and synchronize in the Indonesian Ministry Education and Culture Research and Technology Program, including taking part of the Campus Merdeka Merdeka Belajar or Independent Campus Freedom to Learn. This historical collaboration shall strengthen the development of Indonesian higher education, especially for the 8 leading indicators of higher education in Indonesia. IEEE Indonesia also exploring cooperation with Indonesian industry in various activities and also actively involved in providing inputs in preparing related government regulations. Ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, I would like to express my gratitude to all the committees of ICTS who have worked very hard in preparing for this high qualified IEEE conference. I'm very aware that putting together a symposium of this size is not an easy task. Therefore, I sincerely hope for your cooperation and active participation in all of this program. So I hope all of you will have an enjoyable and valuable experience during this conference event. And please stay active, stay healthy. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for the statement, Dr. Ing Wahyudi Hasbi. Then we would like to hear welcome speech by Dean of Faculty of Intelligent Electrical and Informatics Technology, Dr. Iketut Edi Purnama. Please welcome, time is yours.
Thank you for the Master of Ceremony. Honorable ITS Rector, Professor Dr. Muhammad Ashari, and also honorable invited speakers, Professor Tsao from Academia Sinica, Taiwan, and the second Professor Ferdous Sohel from Murdoch University, Australia, and also Professor Tohari Ahmad from Institut Teknologi Sepuluh Nopember. And I also said thank you for Dr. Ing Wahyudi Hasbi, the chair of IEEE Indonesia section, who just mentioned about IEEE Indonesia and the support to conferences. And also, good morning to the head of the informatics department, Bu Justin Fatihah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear colleagues, researchers, and all attendants of this conference, on behalf of staff and students of Faculty of Intelligent Electrical and Informatics Technology ITS, I would like to welcome you in the 13th International Conference on Information and Communication Technology and System, ICTS. Conference organized by Informatics Department, Institut Teknologi Sepuluh Nopember, and technically co-sponsored by IEEE. I am honored to deliver this opening remark in this conference that is done fully online. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know that ongoing COVID-19 pandemic is a big challenge to almost every aspect of life, including organizing this conference of ICTS. Therefore, I would like to express my appreciation to reviewer of this conference, all invited speaker, and also attendants of this conference to take on this challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, our faculty that is known as Electrics Faculty has a tagline: bring humanized intelligent technology for society. This in line with the motto of ITS, advancing humanity. So we not only aim to become a reference for educational and research, but also to contribute to humanity and society. The Faculty of Electrics consists of 6 departments: Electrical Engineering Department, Informatics Department, Information System, Computer Engineering, Biomedical Engineering, and Information Technology. The number of students of all study program in electrics is around 4,567, and the total number of lecturers are 189, and among them 105 hold the PhD degree, and there are 14 professors. The achievement of the student and lecturer of electrics will also produce 470 publication and international seminar, and also 397 publication in international journal in 2020. We also ranked as the first in Indonesia in the field of computer science in 2020, and also there are 14 lecturers of our faculty are among the 500 most productive national researchers in Sinta score in 2020. And during this pandemic era, the study program also, all the study program continue to produce innovative product, including the Raisa robot, maybe you know already, a service robot operated in the highly infectious room to reduce the contact of COVID-19 to the medical staff. The lecturer and also the student of our faculty are become the backbone of the team to create iCar, intelligent car to serve student transportation in the campus area, and also the backbone of iBoat, autonomous boat that is designed to operate in the bad weather condition to transport goods to the remote area. All these products are the result of collaboration and to be a perfect example of how we can bring humanized intelligent technology to society. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that the ICTS 2021 has a broad scope ranging from big data, computer network, digital forensic, information system, image processing, information retrieval, information security, intelligence system, robotic or biomedical application, and other fields. Therefore, I hope more ideas and collaboration, especially for humanity, will be created and initiated through this conference. I wish you a great and productive experience in the ICTS 2021. And the pandemic taught us how to collaborate to solve humanitarian problem. Many collaboration research products have been produced during the pandemic. Therefore, I hope this seminar also will become a virtual space to meet and discuss and then collaborate. And lastly, I'll congratulate and succeed for holding this seminar. And also, I would like to express my great thanks to the committee, especially for Mr. Hudan Setiawan, who have tried hard to hold this seminar. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for the statement, Dr. Ketut Edi Purnama. Then I would like to hear the welcome speech by Rector of ITS, Professor Muhammad Tasari. Please welcome. Time is yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Muhammad Asari, the Rector or President of Institut Teknologi Sepuluh Nopember or ICTS in Surabaya, Indonesia. I would like to express my deep gratitude to the Chair of IEEE Indonesia section, Bapak Dr. Ing Wahyudi Hasbi. Good morning, Pak Wahyudi. The Dean of Faculty of Intelligent Electrical and Informatic Technology, Bapak Dr. I Ketut Edi Purnama. Morning. Also, I would like to thanks to the keynote speakers, Professor Tsao from Academia Sinica, Taiwan, Professor Ferdous Sohel from Murdoch University, Australia, and also Professor Tohari Ahmad from ICTS, for your willingness to share your knowledge with us. In the speech, I would like to inform that ICTS is an international forum organized by the Department of Informatics, Institut Teknologi Sepuluh Nopember, or ITS, Surabaya, Indonesia. This event is technically co-sponsored by IEEE Indonesia section. Thank you very much for IEEE Indonesia section. ICTS focuses on the research community of computer science, information, and communication technology to discuss and exchange information and also knowledge in their areas of interest. ICTS aims to promote activities in research, development, and application in this area. The accepted publication will be submitted to IEEE Explore. As you know, ITS is very strong in the field of science and technology, especially in information and communication technology. ITS now, we have 23,000 students, and the position now in 2021 is the best 3 in Indonesia, or the best 1 for Times Higher Education Impact Ranking. So according to Times Higher Education, ITS commitment and also contribution in the teaching, research, and application of technology regarding sustainable development goals of United Nations is the best one in Indonesia, and number 64 globally in the rankings all over the world. We are happy with this conference, and we hope that all of you could enjoy this conference, and during or after pandemic is finished, so welcome to our campus in Surabaya. Finally, by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I hereby open the 13th International Conference on Information and Communication Technology and System, ICTS 2021. Thank you very much and have a nice conference.
Thank you for the welcome speech, Professor Muhammad Ashari. Next agenda is presentations of our keynote speakers. The first keynote speaker is Professor Tsao from Academia Sinica, Taiwan.
The second keynote speaker is Professor Ferdous Sohel from Murdoch University, Australia.
And the last keynote speaker is Professor Tohari Ahmad from Institut Teknologi Sepuluh Nopember. All keynote speakers are moderated by Ari MCDK PhD. To the moderator, time is yours.
Thank you for the time allocated for the main session of this conference, which is the keynote speakers of ICTS 2021. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ari Siddiqui. I'm one of the lecturers at the Department of Informatics ITS. Today, I will be moderating the keynote speakers from Professor Tsao, and then Professor Ferdous Sohel, and Professor Tohari Ahmad. Okay, let us start from the first keynote speaker, Professor Tsao. He is already here at the moment. But beforehand, I would like to read through his CV and also a brief abstract of his presentation today. Professor Tsao currently works at the Research Center for Information Technology Innovation Academia Sinica, Taiwan. He received a PhD degree in 2008 from the School of Electrical and Computer Engineering, Georgia Institute of Technology, United States. He received both Bachelor of Science and Master of Science degrees in Electrical Engineering from the National Taiwan University, Taiwan. His research areas are assistive speech communication technologies, audio encoding, deep neural network, biomedical signal processing, and speak signal processing. And he will be delivering his topic about deep learning based speech enhancement with its application to assistive oral communications devices. Briefly, his talk will be about a review of the system architecture and fundamental theories of deep learning based speech enhancement approaches. Next, he will present more recent advances, including end-to-end and goal-driven based speech enhancement systems, as well as the speech enhancement system with improved architectures for and feature extraction procedure. The reinforcement learning and generative adversarial network-based speech enhancement methods will also be presented. Finally, he will discuss some applications based on the deep learning speech enhancement systems, including impaired speech transformation and noise reduction for assistive hearing and speaking devices. Without further ado, please, Professor Tsao, the time is yours.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, it's loud and clear, Professor. Please.
Okay, yeah, great. Okay, thank you, Professor Siddiqui, the moderator, for the introduction. Okay, I'm from Academia Sinica, Taiwan, and my name is Tsao. Yeah, so the topic, the title of my presentation will be Deep Learning-Based Speech Enhancement and its Application to Assistive Oral Communication Technology. Okay, I'm very, it is my great pleasure to be invited here in this great conference to give a presentation and report our current achievements. Okay, let me add something of my background. And I received my PhD degree in US, and then I worked in Japan for 2.5 years. During that time, I was working on speech-to-speech translation. Okay, so the input can be like Mandarin, and output will be Japanese. And also, we have several Indonesian friends there, so they build Indonesian to Mandarin and Indonesian to Mandarin translation systems. Okay, originally the system will be used in Olympics in Tokyo, 2020. And it was delayed, and there's not so many visitors this year. It's this misfortune. Yeah, but anyway, they have built this very good system. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then I moved back to Taiwan in 2011 and have been in Taiwan for 10 years. Okay. So right now I'm a research fellow and I'm a deputy director of CT, Academia Sinica. Okay. And I built my lab and named it Biomedical Acoustic Signal Processing. So speech is, of course, biology, but it's somehow like it's a biomedical signal. Okay, it's pronounced by our mouth, right? Right? And we, in addition to speech, we study something, for example, ECG signals or EMG signals. We try to do ECG signal analysis, classification, or enhancement, or denoising, all kinds of technique. Okay, and my research focus will be assistive speech communication technologies. Okay, and audio coding, biomedical signal processing, and speech signal processing. Okay. All right, so let me briefly introduce
the data sets.
Hello. Okay. Yeah. So let me briefly introduce Academia Sinica. Academia Sinica is the highest research institute in Taiwan. Okay. So we are right below the president office. Okay. So this is like a research institute that supports the president. Okay. So we are the highest above all over the education or research institutes in Taiwan. Okay, and this is our current president, James Liao. Okay, he's a very, very, very famous guy. He was a professor in UCLA and a very famous professor in UCLA, and he come back and to be the president of Academia Sinica. Okay, Academia Sinica, there are three parts. Okay, one is mathematics and the physical science, and second part is life science and the humanities and the social science. And the second part is life science, and the third part is humanity and social science. Okay, so our goal, our mission is to raise academic standards. For example, we train professors in Taiwan, okay, before they join universities. Okay, for example, they come here, the potential professors come here and work with us for 2 or 3 years, and then join universities to become a professor. Okay, so this is our the campus. Okay, so in this there is a land. It is called life science land. Okay, so for example, the current COVID-19, we have done some research in these buildings. Okay, and this part is mathematics and the physical science. Okay, so mathematics and the physics, and our department is computer science. It's more like computer science, so we belongs to this area. Okay, and the third part is humanities and the social science. Is here. Okay, so there are three main parts in this campus, and there is a small river cross the campus. Okay, this is a very beautiful city. It's very near to the central of Taipei, but not so many traffic. So if you travel to Taipei and you have like 1 day off, you may schedule to come here to visit here. Okay, and if you want a tourist, a guide, you can contact me, because I can be with you or my team members. I have several Indonesian students, okay, in my team, so we can go, we can treat you, we can give you a guide to go through the campus. Okay. Okay, so this is Academia Sinica, and this is my center. Okay, the Research Center for Information Technology Innovation. Okay, so in short, CITI. So CITI is the youngest research institute in Academia Sinica. Okay, so there are many centers or departments already in Academia Sinica, and we are the youngest. Okay, so the name is CITI. Okay, what we are doing? We are first working on Taiwan information security. Okay, because the cybernet attack, they're very frequent, right? So we have to have some defend method, okay, to defend ourselves, okay, from the attacks. And the AI and the computing center, this is where I'm belonging. Okay, so I was working on this, and there are other professors working on audio, image, and the video, and even fintech, finance tech. Okay, finance technology. And also we are working on 5G, the communication. Okay, so these three parts are our major parts. Okay, so here we have this is our current director, okay, who was at the president office, I mean, before. Okay, and the second one, this one is the first director of CITI. And now he's a vice president of National Taiwan University. So National Taiwan University is the top-ranked university in Taiwan. Okay, and the second director, Dr. Guo Dawei. Okay, he was the president of National Taiwan University. Okay, so you can see the director who left our center can join, I mean, the top university to become the president. Okay, yeah. So right now, this is the Director Huang. Okay, Director Huang as our current director. Okay, all right. Let me formally start to present my work. Okay, so this is my outline. So first, I will explain what is deep learning and speech enhancement, the basic system, and the key factors. And also, the second part, I will introduce how to apply this deep learning-based speech enhancement system for oral communication. Okay. So speech is almost everywhere. So, for example, for calling a phone or riding a motorcycle. Actually, in Taiwan, there are many motorcycles. So, motorcycle riders, they want to speak, but if there's it's too fast, the wind sound will interfere the speech, right? So yeah, we have to get some solutions. And here we want to talk. We want to, for example, the online ordering something, or we want to talk to the robots. Okay, so this is smart speaker. And here are some hearing aid device. Okay, assistive hearing device. Also, playing a game, we need sign, we need speech, right, to communicate with our teammates. And of course, I mean, in the classroom, we need the speech. Okay, the teacher and students can communicate. But usually, speech is easy to be distorted when there is a noise or there is a reverberation. The reverberation is another kind of noise. It's a de-reverberation. The reverb, it's a convolutive noise. Okay, so in many situations, we need to handle the distorted speech issue. Okay, so speech enhancement mainly focus on this. Okay, what is speech enhancement? So there are many definitions. Okay, so we want to do noise reduction. We want to speech denoise. We want to separation. We want to de-reverberation. And we want to bandwidth expansion and speaker extraction. So, but everything, if the goal is to enhance the speech, we can include them as the speech enhancement. Okay, so the definition of speech enhancement is to convert the input speech to the enhanced one with improved either quality or intelligibility or speech recognition performance. Okay, so this is definition of speech enhancement. And you can see that the speech enhancement, only speech enhancement, we don't know the exact meaning, because the speech enhancement what? We don't know, right? What is we want to enhance, right? So if we give definition, like we want to enhance the speech quality, enhance the speech intelligibility, enhance the automatic speech recognition accuracies. Okay, so if we give this goal, then we can know what aspect we want to enhance. Okay, so this is the definition of speech enhancement. For oral communication, it is important, right? So if there are two speakers, one initiate some idea and talk to the second one decode the idea in the brain, okay, and generate speech. This becomes a chain, right? But if there is a problem anywhere from the brain to speech, to the speaking system, and the speech and hearing system and the brain again, okay, if there is a problem, the communication will fail. So what we are doing now is we try to solve the problem 1, 2, 3 here, okay, outside the main body, okay. But in the future, we want to further explore what the effect of the speech generation or speech understanding inside the brain, okay. So this is what we got so far, okay, and I will present today. Okay, so let me start to explain what is the basic deep learning-based speech enhancement system. The idea is quite simple. Many of you might already know neural network, okay? So we have the noisy input, okay? And we have a clean output, okay? We want the neural network to generate the output that is close to the clean one, Okay, so let me do it again. We have a noise speech signal. We have clean speech signal. We first do feature extraction. So we have this feature and this feature. We want to convert this feature by neural network model, and we want this output to be as close as possible to the clean reference. Okay, so how do we define they are clean? They are close. So we usually use some point-wise measurement, for example, L1 known or L2 known. Okay, point-wise measurement or SISDR. So the goal is we want the output to be the same as clean reference. Okay, so what we can do, we adjust this AC model iteratively. Okay, we train the neural network model, okay, based on these laws. Okay, after the model is trained, then we can use the model here, and the input noisy speech, we can have the output enhanced speech. Okay, the flow is quite simple, right? We have original signal, we do feature extraction, we put this feature, extract feature into the neural network model. This is SE model. We have the output. The original output is not good enough, so we measure the difference of this output and the clean reference based on some measurement, L1 known, L2 known. Okay, so we want to minimize this measurement, then we modify the SE model until the model is optimized. Then we can use this model and do the enhancement. Here are some results. Okay, so this is the original noisy. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so the Mandarin speaking and one baby crying. Okay, if we use traditional speech enhancement method, it's not very effective. Okay, and this is a machine learning technique, but not deep learning. A little bit better, right? But if we use deep learning based solution, okay, you can hear that the baby crying part is completely removed, right? So here is another example. Okay, traditional machine learning way. Okay, this is deep learning. Okay, so deep learning is very effective for this type of noise. Okay, because the noise type is random. I mean, traditionally we make some assumptions on the speech and the noise, but for particular noise type, for example, baby cry and siren, the assumption fail, so the performance is not so good. Okay, so deep learning just learn without any assumptions. Okay, so it can perform very well. Okay, yeah. So how can we measure the performance? Usually we use some existing quality measurement. So the quality measurement is PESQ, Q for quality. And for intelligibility, STOI, I for intelligibility. And for signal to noise NR, this is the signal level measurement, okay, SSNR. And the distortion, log spectral distortion, LSD. Okay, so usually we care more about intelligibility and quality for human, right? So we care more about quality, Q and I intelligibility, quality and intelligibility. Okay, yeah, okay, so let me go through the key factors of speech, deep learning based speech enhancement. So during training, we have noisy speech. First, we want to do feature extraction, and we can analyze what is the best way for feature extraction. Okay, this is one research topic. And the second research topic is we have a different type of neural network model. Okay, so originally fully connect and the CNN, RNN, and the transformer, all kinds of neural network, we investigate their performance. Okay, and number three, objective function. Originally, we measure the difference based on L1 known and L2 known. We argue that is not perfect. Okay, so we can investigate if there is better objective function. And number four, it's an auxiliary input. Okay, so for human, for example, we understand speech based on not on speech, but also like a view or texture or vibrations, even vibrations. Okay, so we want to incorporate this auxiliary input. Okay, and for if we want to implement the system on real-world device, we have to work on model compression, and computation acceleration, and also we want to improve the adaptability. Okay, we want the model can be applied to new domain. Okay, so these two are quite important for real-world applications. So today, because of the time limitation, I will focus on number 3, number 4, number 6. Okay, I have given a tutorial in a speech conference. If you want to know other parts, you can go for, you can find my webpage and to find the video. Okay, yeah, okay. So first, objective function. So originally we use L1 norm or L2 norm to measure the difference of the output and clean reference, right? But for human, if we want to reach particular goals, for example, quality and intelligibility, these two laws may not be perfect, right? So we should focus on quality and intelligibility to design the objective function. And also for speech recognition, we should design different objective function rather than L1 norm and L2 norm. Okay, so that is our idea. Okay, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. So first, talk about human-to-human communication. We talk about quality and intelligibility. All right. So how can we measure the quality and the intelligibility of speech? Right. So the best way is we play the sound to a human. Then he gives scores. Okay. 1 to 5. When you use Skype or other communication tools, you can rate the score from 1 to 5, right? So for example, this is 3 and the intelligibility is 0.8. What do you mean by 0.8? 10 words, we can correctly recognize 8 words, okay, 0.8. Okay, so we play one speech and these are the scores, quality score and the intelligibility score. But if we only have one utterance, we cannot use this to train the speech enhancement model, right? It's too few. So usually we need more training data. So we have to play many utterances and this tester must answer a lot of quality and the intelligibility scores, which is very time consuming, right? So instead, we use existing tools, okay, to get the quality and the intelligibility scores. As I mentioned earlier, originally, I mean, previous researchers, they developed PSQ and STOI to replace the human listening. Okay, so if we have PSQ, we have one utterance, we can get a score. If we have STOI, given one utterance, we can get a score. So we can have many utterances and we have many quality and the intelligibility score. Based on these pairs, we can train neural network. Okay, and there are two ways to train neural network. Okay, one is direct. The second one is indirect. We use a game-based solution. We have two papers. One is IEEE. This is a top journal paper, and this is ICML. Okay, the machine learning conference. Okay. So this work we introduce how can we directly optimize intelligibility. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, STOI is for intelligibility. Okay, if we take a look at STOI computation, it's like this. Okay, so everything is linear and differentiable. So we can directly use STOI to form an objective function. Okay, so we replace L1 norm and L2 norm by STOI score. Okay, so if we use this to optimize, that means when we train the neural network model, the goal is to have this output and the clean to have the most similar STOI score. Okay, so if the output is clean and if the reference is clean, and we want the output to be as clean as possible in terms of STOI score. Okay, STOI score is 0 to 1, so we won't have the STOI score to 1. Okay, so this is our training phase. Okay, So let's take a look at the results. Okay, so here are the listening test result. Okay, so this part is quality and this part is intelligibility. How can we do the experiment? We play 100 words and to one subject, and the subject will answer. Okay, each words. Okay, then we calculate how many words can be perfectly recognized. Okay, so we can see that the noisy, the recognition rate is quite high. It's 78 or 77 something. Okay, that is because our normal hearing, we can somehow remove the noise part and understand the materials. Okay, so this is the result. Okay, we can still understand. Okay, even it's very noisy, minus 3 dB. Minus 3 dB is the noisy is 1,000 times than the speech. Okay, so this is quite a challenging condition, but human can still perform better. If we use traditional loss function, MSC, the performance is not good. If we use STOI, still not good. Okay, we found that. But if we combine this traditional and STOI, we get better results. Okay, better than noisy. Actually, this is the first work that I report that speech enhancement can get better intelligibility result than noisy. Previous work always say, okay, if we use speech enhancement, we can improve the quality. We can listen more higher quality, but the intelligibility might be degrade because the speech components have been somehow distorted. Okay, and this is the first paper reporting that we can improve the human listening results. Okay, in minus 3 dB, and this quality part is not news. Okay, always better than noisy. Okay, and for minus 6 dB, this is even more noisier. Okay, so the traditional loss is not good, and the STOI loss is comparable, and our traditional MS L2 no and the STOI loss can get better intelligibility results, and the quality is much better. Okay, so this shows that if we use STOI as an objective function rather than L1 norm or L2 norm, we might get better intelligibility score. Okay. Next, quality. Okay, we want to use PESQ to define the objective function, but the PESQ is a 2,700 lines. It's a very complicated function. Okay, so we cannot easily make it differentiable. Okay, so we cannot directly use PESQ into our speech enhancement system. Okay, there are several ways. For example, RL learning, or reinforcement learning, or direct sampling, or approximate the PESQ function. So there are previous works, okay? And we propose a different way, okay? The idea is quite simple, okay? So PESQ, since PESQ is an evaluator, it's quite complex, right? So how about we use a neural network to replace PESQ? That is our idea. So PESQ, to measure the quality, it is very complicated. We have a paired speech, clean, and the degradation, and we can get PESQ score, right? So if we can prepare a lot of pairs and we can prepare a lot of predicted scores, we can train a neural network model to replace the original PESQ. We call it quality net. Okay, so this is quality net. Okay, well, when we have quality net, this quality net can do the same thing as PESQ estimation. Okay, so that means this is a neural network. We have paired speech, we can predict score, and this score is very close to the PESQ score. Okay, and this one is differentiable. Okay, so we can put this one after the enhancement model. Then we can do the backpropagation to train this part. We can fix this quality net and we only train the enhancement model, or we can train it iteratively. Okay, so this system, one model generation, one is something like a predictor or a discriminator. Okay, this combination is very similar to a GAN system. Okay, generative adversarial training. Okay, generative adversarial network. Okay, so let's take a look at what is generative adversarial network. Okay, so in generative adversarial network, For speech enhancement, we have noisy speech here, and we have clean speech here. And traditionally, we want to estimate the difference of this output and the clean speech based on L1 norm, L2 norm, or SISDR, right? This is some parametric functions, okay? And if we use scan, we want to replace this one, okay? So here is like a policeman, right? So the policeman will detect the output and the clean speech are the same or different. If the detector can easily detect, okay, the output is fake, it's different from the clean, then the discriminator will enforce SE model to generate better output, okay? And the discriminator will also learn to get better and better ability to detect whether the output is true or not, okay? True means, okay, the output and the clean are very similar. Fake means, okay, output and the clean are very different, okay? So this is the idea of game-based speech enhancement. And our method is very similar to this, but we replace, because this is binary decision, okay, either real or fake, okay? So we replace this part as a judge, okay? So this, the metric, this becomes a metric, okay? So the output and the clean, they are very similar, then in that case, give us a higher score, for example, 10. Okay, so we call it metric gain. Okay, it is published in ICML. Okay, so if we give a high score, that means, okay, we want this output and clean very, very similar, as similar as 10 points. Okay, and also we can make it lower. I mean, that means, okay, the output is very different from the clean speech. Okay, 4 points. Okay. Yeah, so here are some details. I think I will skip this part. If you are interested, you can come to our paper. Okay. Yeah, so the result is here. So in 2019, the game-based speech enhancement is not so good. Okay, at that time, the game-based speech enhancement is even worse than L1 norm. But based on our metric gain, we can focus on PESQ for optimization here. So we can get good PESQ score. We can also focus on STOI so we can get better STOI scores. So this again tells us that when we do speech enhancement, we should define a target first. What we want to optimize. We want a good quality, then we want to optimize quality. If we want optimize intelligibility, then we want to optimize the intelligibility. Okay. Okay, so later on we have proposed this system. Okay, for example, if we want to use Google ASR, right? We want to first process the noise speech and then send the speech to the Google ASR. What can we do? Okay, because we don't know, we don't know anything about the Google ASR, right? We don't know how to design our denoise model. Okay, so what we can do? What we can do is we have a noisy and we have recognition score. Okay, so what we can do? We use reinforcement learning. Okay, so idea is quite simple. So first, we have training data. Okay, based on this training data, we can build some mask. Okay, so mask means, okay, with some parts we want to mask out, some part we want to leave. The left part will be the speech part. Okay, so we keep this mask. Okay, this is B hat. Okay, and then we perform K-means clustering because there are too many masks, so we make it smaller. Okay, so this is step one. We want to clustering this mask, okay? And then given one utterance, and we choose one mask that can give us lowest error, okay? So one utterance, we check all the masks, okay? Number two, give us the best score. Then we know, okay, for this input, we should choose number two. Okay, then we train this DNN model. Okay, so there are 3 steps. Okay, we first do the clustering and we want to identify the best action. And finally, we train a neural network model. We know, okay, this utterance, we should take action 2. Another utterance, we should take another action. So we can train the DNN model. After the DNN model is trained, during online, we have an utterance, we select optimal mask, and then we perform speech enhancement, and then we can send the enhanced speech to ASR, maybe Google ASR. Okay, so we can build this system in our side, even we don't know anything about Google ASR. Okay. Yeah, so here are the results. We get better recognition results compared to noisy. This is word error rate, the lower the better, all right? So 5 dB, 56, 0 dB, 81. The accuracy is quite low. The performance is very noisy, and our method can effectively reduce the error rate. And in the meantime, we can also improve STOI and the PESQ. So this suggests that the human and the ASR now become somehow similar. Okay. Now we can move to the second part. The second part is auxiliary input. Okay. So here are some references for the objective function. Okay, the second part is auxiliary input. Okay, the most intuitive way is to incorporate the lip image during speech, right? So this is speech enhancement. We can incorporate the lip. Okay, the lip is only for assist the noise. Okay, so it because noisy, we don't put the for lips, we don't put the noise in the image. So the goal is to reconstruct the lip image. Okay, so this is, we call it audiovisual speech enhancement system. Okay, the result shows that the audiovisual performs better than audio only. Okay, so visual information helps even in very dark condition. Okay, this is the night market in Taiwan. The lighting condition is not so good, but the performance is still okay. Okay, the performance is robust. So based on this finding, we have a second system. We call it light audiovisual speech enhancement. The reason is, if we want to do speech enhancement, we'll work on this part. But if we involve video, the model becomes very large and the data size also very large. So we want to reduce the image, okay, the video part, okay, and also we want to shrink some model parameters here. All right, so this we will call the light audiovisual speech enhancement. So what do? We do an autoencoder. We use the compressed latent representation. Okay, then we further apply quantization on these features to further reduce the size. Okay. All right, so we have two stages, one autoencoder, and then quantize the latent representation. Okay, here are the results. Results is quite interesting. So first, we have noisy and audio enhancement. Okay, as I reported, audio enhancement is quite effective. And now we have audio visual. So audio visual is better than audio only. And finally, if we reduce the size of model and the data, we can get even better performance. Okay, so this is, we observe this phenomenon in many studies. If we reduce the size, somehow we can get even better performance. Okay, but to the final extreme condition, okay, we further reduce the size, the performance start to fail. Okay, so this is our best system. Okay, this is best system. Okay, yeah, but the compression is 48 times. Okay, all right, so another multi-model is we can use speech and bone conductive speech. Okay, bone conductive speech, as you can see, this is bone conductive speech. Is noise robust because it captures the vibration. All right, so it's noise robust. We can ride a motorcycle or bicycle using bone conductive microphone to talk, but it only captures low frequency part, so our voice is changed. Okay, for our normal microphone, it is easy to get noise involved. So it's like this. Okay, so we combine these two information for speech enhancement to get better enhancement result. Okay, so this is the idea. And we propose two ways. We directly concatenate the two signals in the signal level, or we first use the neural network to pre-process these two parts. And finally, we have a fusion model to get the enhanced results. Okay, yeah, so here are the results. This is a bone conductive microphone alone, and this is A is audio alone. Okay, all for speech enhancement. Okay, EF early fusion, LF for late fusion. Okay, so our result shows that the combination of bone and air get better performance than audio alone, and late fusion is better. All right. Yeah, so there are other types of auxiliary input. Okay, so if you have time, you can go through this. They are very interesting. Okay, So the third part I will go through is the adaptation. Okay, so we have a trained model. How can we adapt the model to new environments? Okay, so that is the idea. So we have different speakers, we have different noise types. We train a model here. How can we adapt? We have a new speaker, we have a new noise type. How can we adapt the model? All right, and usually we want to do, okay, we have a small amount of data from the new speaker and the new environments, then we can adapt the model. So we call it model adaptation. And the model adaptation, we can classify them into supervised and unsupervised. Supervised means we have paired, noisy and clean. Unsupervised is not paired, noisy and clean. All right, okay. So if we have supervised, we have supervised training data. So this is source data. We have noisy and clean to train this enhancement model, right? And the target, a different noise type. For example, we have 10 different noise type, and this is a new noise type, never seen, is a source, okay? So we use this pair to train this enhancement model, okay? But we found a problem. If we train, this is source, okay, ambulance, and this is a target, a very different. If we directly use it for speech enhancement, the performance is not good, right? But after adaptation, and then we test it on the target, the performance is good, all right? But we forgot the original source noise type, okay? The performance become NG, not good, okay? So this is called catastrophic forgetting issue, okay? So when we learn something, we forget the original condition. So we propose the serial algorithm, okay? So the idea is quite simple. When we adapt the model, we do not direct adapt from here to here. We adapt from here to the overlap region. So it performs well for both target source and target domain. Okay, source means the original training condition. Target means new condition. Okay, the noise type might not be seen, okay, in the training condition. Here are some results. Okay, so the result shows that the SE adaptation is effective and the direct adaptation is not so good. And our proposed method, serial, consistently improve the performance. Okay, so what if we don't have clean data in the target domain? For example, we train a model, right, using here, but we want to use in real world situation, but we don't have the clean data. We only have noisy data. How can we do it? Okay, so we have two solutions. Okay, let me quickly go through it. Okay, the first solution will be domain adversarial training. Okay, so we have a noisy input and we have a classifier. It is based on GAN. Okay, generative adversarial network, the idea. All right. Okay, so we have loss 1 and loss 2 and loss 1, loss 2. Okay, so we have generate a reverse gradient reverse layer, okay, here, okay, to reverse the gradient. Okay, so if you are interested, you can go to see our paper. All right, so here are some results. Okay, so this is original data and test on original model, test on new data, and if we adapt the model, we can get better and better denoise performance. Okay, yeah, so DAT unsupervised. It's not purely unsupervised. We still need some label of the noise type. Okay, so later on, we propose another purely unsupervised model adaptation. Okay, the idea is the same. In the source, we have clean and noisy data to train the model, but in the target, we only have noisy data. We don't have clean, right? So how can we do? We use optimal transport algorithm. We define this algorithm, and there are two parts. One is to avoid catastrophic forgetting. One is optimal transport. And here are some demo I'll show you later, right? And based on this, it's not good enough. We further incorporate the GAN, W-GAN here. Okay, so the original noise speech is like this.
But such cases were in the past unusual.
Okay, so after we have this term, okay, the noise part has been removed, okay, but the speech quality is not good. So we want to have this part, W-GAN, and this is our final result.
But such cases were in the past unusual.
Okay, so you can see the effectiveness. Okay, yeah. So here are some results. We compare with other unsupervised or partly unsupervised method. Okay, so here are our results. Our results are much better than previous works. And this is published in Neuro IPs 2021. This is a top machine learning conference. Okay, so I will use some time to quickly go through the application part. Okay, so based on our deep learning based speech enhancement algorithms, how can we apply them for assistive oral communication? It can be roughly divided into two parts: assistive listening, assistive speaking. Okay, so for each part, I will give you one example. Okay, for assistive listening, I will give cochlear implants. Assistive speaking, I will talk about pathological voice enhancement. Okay, so this is the Chinese oracle. Okay, very old Chinese characters. This one is a man with big ear. Listen carefully. And this one is an ear with two mouths. So this means that even I hear, but I cannot understand. Okay, and this one is I can hear and understand. Okay, so the meaning are slightly different. So there's a very famous book say, hear, but pay no attention, listen, but not hear. Okay, so this one is hear, and this one is listen, because there's only one ear, but two mouths speaking together. So I only listen, but I don't understand here. All right. So intelligibility and quality are different. Okay. Intelligibility is understand. Quality is like just listen. Okay. So intelligibility is more important. So that is what we want to work on. Speech enhancement focus on intelligibility. Okay. Because we want to do assistive hearing device. So this is cochlear implants. Okay. The device like this. We have a speech receiver, and it transmit to electricity and send into the human brain. Okay, so this is a receiver. So the electricity will directly send to the cochlea, okay, to stimulate our hearing cells. And the stimulations will go through our brains to generate acoustic signal to then the human can hear it. So this is a device of cochlear implants, and this is our cochlea. Okay. Yeah, cochlear implants have been used many years. In quiet condition, it's quite good, but in noisy condition, the performance is not good. Okay, yeah. So deep learning, because we work on the noise, right? So we can use deep learning to reduce the noise before the same signal sent into the cochlear implant system, right? So we put our denoise system here. All right. So this is traditional cochlear implant system. We put our noise reduction here. All right, so here are some results. In signal level, the higher the better. This is the deep learning result. Okay, all the others are traditional speech enhancement and the original noisy. It's like this. The higher the better. Our deep learning is better, right? Okay, the second part is listening. Okay, we play some simulated cochlear implant sounds to normal hearing people and ask them to do the listening test. And again, 100 words, how many words can be correctly recognized? Okay, so deep learning way, DDAE gives a higher score. Okay, and finally, we collaborate with a hospital to find the cochlear implant recipients to do the listening test. And again, deep learning is better. It's here. It's give a higher recognition results. Okay. All right. So the second part is speaking. So this is another Chinese word. Okay, this is a door. Okay, this is a mouse. A mouse was locked inside a door. That means, okay, this is our current word. That means we cannot speak. Okay, speaking disorders. Okay, including dysarthria, apraxia, aphasia, many things. Okay, so this is speaking disorder. How can we use speech enhancement to help them? All right, to help people with speaking disorder. Okay, so this is our first work. Some oral cancer, after the surgery, they cannot speak very well. So we use speech enhancement to help them. All right. So we use traditional machine learning algorithm, NNF, non-native matrix factorization. Okay, the idea is like this. This is the after surgery. The basis is not clear. And this is before surgery, and the bases are quite clear. So we want to use clear basis to replace the original basis. Okay, that's a main idea. Okay, so before surgery, it is clear. After surgery, it's not clear. We want to replace this. Okay, yeah, so this is our idea. Okay, so here are the results. Okay, let's play this one. Okay, and this is the enhanced one. Okay, so slightly improved. Okay, so we publish a paper based on the results. Okay, so in addition to oral cancer, we can also do dysarthric. Okay, that some damages to the brain. Okay, cannot speak very well. So we can also use the same idea. Okay, this is original sound. Okay, I mean, sorry, it's in Mandarin, but I can understand it all after our speech enhancement system. I can recognize like 80%. Okay, but the speaker identity has changed, right? This is female speaker and this is male speaker, and we want to do another conversion here. Okay, so the speech are similar to the original speech. Okay, and the intelligibility is much improved. Okay, here is another example. Some like laryngeal surgery. Okay, some laryngeal part has been removed, so we want to have this electro-laryngeal voice conversion system. Okay, so this is original speech. Okay, because this part has been removed, right? So we want to use a machine to replace this. Okay, yeah. So this is traditional way. This is the proposed approach. Okay, it's much better. All right, so we can use this one to help them. All right. Yeah, so this is the outline. Thank you. For your listening. First, I introduced the deep learning-based speech enhancement, and I show some oral communication technologies for applications. So the speech enhancement, we have several parts, and I focus on 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 6, and I have introduced 2 parts: cochlear implants, and this is this disorder speech conversion. Okay, so here are some codes. If you are interested to run our codes, go ahead. And here is our lab. Okay, our QR code to our lab. Okay, and these are our lab members. They are very promising young men. Okay, now most of the works are done by them. And I want to mention that Professor Shintami, actually, she received a PhD degree. Yeah, she collaborated with us. She collaborated with us, and she stayed in Taiwan for some time. Yeah, so Taiwan is a very friendly place. If you want to study abroad, Taiwan is a good choice. Like in my team, I have 4 Indonesian students, and the one is going to graduate very soon. Like, they are doing very well. Okay, and I think we have a good facility. If you want to study or you want to collaborate with us, we are very welcome. And thank you again for give me this great opportunity to share our work with me. Thank you.
Thank you for the nice presentation, Professor Tsao. It is now time for a question and answer session. We do have like about 5 minutes to do the question and answer session. Anyone from the floor who would like to answer, to submit his or her questions, please, time is already open for the question and answer session. You can raise your hands up, or you can just type in the question in the chat room if you like. Anyone? Right, Professor, if I may ask a question, you mentioned about the noise that that is to be removed from the original sound. If I may ask a question, how much noise can be tolerated by the deep learning-based speech enhancements? I mean, for example, if the noise is too dominant from the original sound, then yeah.
Okay, you mean the deep learning based speech enhancement can, what is the extent the deep learning? Yeah.
So sometimes the noise is too the volume is too high than the original sound. So yeah, how much can be tolerated? Thank you.
Yes, very good question. There is no answer to this because the data set used for speech enhancement is not fixed. Okay, so there are many different type of data set, and some data set are easier. And in my team, okay, I try to use -10 dB. Okay, of course, it becomes very difficult. Okay, but it still gets some, very notable improvements. Okay, even -10 dB. I think more challenging part is not SNR. It's not the noise to signal level. I mean, very low SNR, but actually the noise type. Okay, the most difficult noise type to handle is speech. Okay, if I'm speaking and there's another one speaking in my background, how can we suppress the speech at the background and emphasize my speech? Okay, that is the most challenging part. Okay, so many people start to work on this. Okay, so one way for this is we can identify the target speaker like me, all right, and the rest speaker will be the unwanted part, right? So we can suppress them. Okay, yeah. So yeah, to your question, so there's no fixed answer because the different type of noise may have different difficulties. Some are very difficult, like -3 dB is already very challenging, and some -10 dB is still easy to fix. Okay, yeah, but in my team, I try -10 dB, and it is okay. Yeah, but if the speaking in the background, -3 or -10, -5 dB is already very, very difficult to handle. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the answer, Professor. There are two questions actually following up my question. First is maybe Bu Ani, you can unmute yourself and ask the question, please. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Professor. Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned that the Academia Sinica is the highest research institution in Taiwan. And I'd like to know about the researchers in there. Are they university students or researchers dedicated, hired by the Academia Sinica? And
okay.
And the second one, in the speech enhancement problem, is it possible to analyze the image of speech signal, so in two-dimensional data to perform the SE, or is it usually will be have less performance compared to the signal, the speech signal itself? I think that's all for me.
Thank you very much. Very good question. So for Academia Sinica, we have many departments and center. Okay, so the difference of department and centers. Department, we can focus on something. Okay, pure research. Okay, but for centers, we want to collaborate. For me, I collaborate with like hearing doctors. Okay, medical doctors, ENT doctors. Okay, and some industry work on the acoustics. Okay, so we have additional mission. Okay, not only pure research, but we also need to collaborate with industry or other institutes. Okay, so the Indonesian, most Indonesian students come here to get PhD degree because we have our own something like a university. Okay, so we have a program. Okay, the program is quite good. It's like a PhD degree. Okay, so the student come here and I can give some supports. It's about I don't know how to. It's a 20,000 US dollars per month. Okay, 20,000. Like every month. Okay, and I think it's quite good. I mean, in Taiwan, the living standard is not so high. Okay, so 20,000 is quite good. It's very good. So you can check more information by TIGP. Okay, TIGP, right? Okay, So TIGP Academia Sinica, there are several programs. Okay, one is I joined two programs. One is bio informatics, and the second one is social science. And something like that, neural network, something like that. Okay, so there are several TIGP programs. Based on your background, you can choose the most suitable one. Okay, so in my team, I have 3 students from Indonesia. Okay, and 2 of them are in this TIGP program. Another one, because he came earlier and I don't have quota in TIGP program, so I have arranged him to co-advised in National Taiwan University. Okay, so in my team, there are 3 students from Indonesia. Okay, and if not studying PhD, it's also very good to come here to work as a postdoc. Okay, so we have 2,000 per month the plan for postdoc. Okay, so if you find some suitable collaborators through the website, you can directly email us. Okay, then we can have a further discussion. You can share your background and see if we can suit our research background and interest. Okay, so that is Academia Sinica problem. Okay, so again, students will be like 1,200 US dollar per month, and for postdoc will be $2,000 per month. Okay, I think this is a good plan. I mean, for studying abroad or collaborations. Okay, we also welcome the professors in University Indonesia to visit us, so we can have close collaborations. Okay. All right. So the second questions. So for the image. Okay. So actually, the traditional way we apply our method, it's like this feature extraction is like we convert the 1D signal to 2D, and we perform the noise on this 2D signal. It's like an image of speech. Hope if I'm not misunderstanding your question. Okay, so this is 1D, and we have 2D, and we work on 2D to get enhance the result. Okay, yeah, but more recently we directly work on noise speech. Okay, because this feature extraction is also replaced by neural network. Okay, so we have another neural network to process this part. Okay, and this is we usually call it encoder. Okay, so we have a speech signal and we have encoded results. It's like a 2D map. Okay, like an image of speech, and then we apply neural network on this. Okay, to get a clean map, and then we want have an inverse feature extraction process to get the original 1D signal. Okay, yeah, so hope this answers your question.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep, thank you, Bu Ani and Professor Lisa for the question and answer. We've got another question in the chat room. I think this is the last question for this first keynote speaker session. The question is, how much is the universality or generalization of the SE models built by your proposed techniques?
Can you repeat again? Sorry.
Yeah, the question is, how much is the universality or the generalization of SE models built by your proposed technique? I mean,
yeah,
this is, yeah. Right.
Yeah, very, very, very good question. Yeah, so it is very important. Okay, so for so there are many constraints actually. Okay, so in terms of like a device, if we have built a system on PC and we apply it on a mobile phone, okay, sometimes it works, sometimes not. Okay, so we found that the environment affect very much, and the brand of a cell phone also affect the performance. Okay, so we have a demo system. You can run it on your cell phone. Okay, and the performance is not very stable. If we use iPhone, we use a different brand, the performance will be very different. Okay, so that is channel affect a lot, and the speaker also, some particular speaker, the performance is not so good. Okay, so that is why we want to work on the adaptation, model adaptation. We want to apply, we want to adapt the model very fast. Okay, in a new environments, the model can be efficiently adapt to the new environments with a very, for example, one utterance, the model can adapt to the new environments, new environment, new speaker, okay, new headphone, okay, channel effect, okay, yeah. So right now I must admit that our system is very, very good in simulation or in many benchmark. Okay, it's standard database, but in real world conditions, sometimes it doesn't perform very well. So we are collaborating with industry in Taiwan. We try to solve this problem. We want to make it more general. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yep, thank you for the answer. And that will be the closing of the first keynote speaker session. Thank you for Professor Tsao for the presentation. I hope there will be more follow-up from this keynote speaker. I mean, perhaps we could do some collaborative research or maybe to send our students to Taiwan under your supervision.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much again for the invitation. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, coming up to the next keynote speaker, Professor Ferdous Sohel. But before that, let me read through his curriculum vitae. Yep, he's already here at the moment. So yeah. Professor Ferdous Sohel, he received a PhD degree from Monash University, Australia. He received a Bachelor of Science Engineering degree in Computer Science and Engineering from Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology, or BUET. He is currently an Associate Professor in Information Technology at Murdoch University, Australia. Prior to joining Murdoch University, he was a Research Assistant Professor or Research Fellow at the School of Computer Science and Software Engineering, the University of Western Australia from January 2008 to mid-2015. Right, now I'm gonna read through his topic today. Professor Ferdous Sohel will be delivering his research entitled Deep Learning Models, Application, Challenges, and Future. A short or brief abstract of his presentation today is, yeah, we'll read through it. To fit the data sets or real applications, deep learning network face a number of key challenges such as class imbalance, missing attributes, and low fidelity in the data. A variety of strategies such as network topology, data augmentation, different activation functions, cost-sensitive learning, and fusion of multiple networks are applied to tackle these problems. Furthermore, with increasing network complexities, deep learning models require more powerful computing hardware resources. In this talk, he is going to cover an overview of deep learning models with respect to the state of the art. Without further ado, please welcome Professor Ferdous Sohel.
All right, so thank you. Now I have to share my screen. Huh?
You haven't, but you can share it now.
No, it's okay. So how do I do it?
Just press the share screen button.
Yeah, yeah.
Middle button, yeah.
I can see the entire screen, but not the share screen. There we go. So can you see anything? Oh, no, you can see the entire screen.
It's coming up, yes, we can see it now.
Yeah. So can you share this, see the screen with the notes or without the notes? It's a bit confusing for me here.
We can see your screen now, Professor Ferdous. Yeah.
So can you see two screens or one screen?
One screen only. One screen.
All right, that's good. Thank you. And is the voice clear?
Voice is clear.
Perfect. All right, thank you. All right, so thanks for the nice introduction, kind introduction, and thanks for having me on this occasion. And my talk would be more like an overview. So I tried to remove all the technical details of it and try to make it a bit of more broad overview of deep learning. So today we are going to cover deep learning, some models, their applications, challenges, and future. So like when we do something in Australia, we have to do this acknowledgement. So this is traditionally owned by the Buja Noongar people, and we respect their emerging current leaders and elders, and we respect their permission to leave us on this land. So here's my outline. Before I go to the outline, so I like to pay my respect to these three superstars of our time on deep learning. So it's Professor Jeffrey Hinton, Ian LeCun, and Ishu Bengio. So for their, celebrating moment of winning the Turing Award in 2018, and that was a defining moment for us. Just a big recognition in deep learning, and they have really contributed when people are going away from machine learning. Artificial intelligence was popular, but machine learning was not in that. But Professor Hinton, he brought it back to the limelight again. So the outline here goes like deep learning, and then I'll cover a brief history of deep learning, the major milestones, and I have a few select research topics that we do in our labs, and challenges and the future, what's like in front of us. To take a short tour from AI to machine learning to deep learning, so I thought like I start with this. So AI, like artificial intelligence, is a technique which will enable machines to mimic sort of human behavior. We are not there yet, but we are moving forward to that. And machine learning is a tool. It's just like is a mechanism within AI where algorithms will have the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. So the algorithms, machine learning models, they will learn from the data. But here, we like to differentiate the machine learning and deep learning. That deep learning is a more sophisticated one where the models are not really pre-programmed. Like the models will learn the features they will need. On the other hand, in machine learning, usually the features that we use are predefined. Sometimes they're called handcrafted, sometimes called hand engineered, and so on. So if we look at the time scale, so deep learning is not that newish in terms of the growth. It only started after 2011-12. So the foundation was happening, but the brewing time and acceleration all started 2011-12. So it's about a decade of work here. So look at the boom here. If we look at just the number of publications, here I was a bit lazy, so I looked up only the archive, so which is a freely available one, and used the keyword for deep learning. And if you look at the number of publications, manuscript, not publications as such, available on archive is like quite phenomenal. So this year, 2021 up to 9, like means now September, there are 7,312. And if you look at 2011, there are 3 papers that turn up with this search. So there's a massive, like exponential growth that's happening in this space. So is this growth. So it's a massive area. So I thought like, let's do a bit of synopsis of these milestones as we achieved. So we start with AlexNet in 2012. And then this graph actually covers up to 2018, all the major milestones, and this This graph was prepared by Salim et al. So here, AlexNet, and I like to name a few, Overfeed, and the big one, the VGG, and then we have SegNet, and another big one, ResNet, and then he started the RCNN family. So in the RCNN family, it enables us to do object labeling and classification at the same time. Then comes the fully connected networks, GoogleNet, UNet. They are relatively, smallish in terms of the parameters, but they give beautiful results. Then comes the big one of YOLO. So you look at only once. So if you look at RCNN and YOLO, there are certain differences between them. So RCNN, for the image, there will be region of interest. So you find the region of interest and then train and classify those regions of interest. On the other hand, in YOLO, you only look at those pixels of the image only once, not twice, like once for segment, once for region of interest finding and another time for classification. But in YOLO, the name suggests you look only once. So you only look at the image only once. So YOLO algorithms become very fast and they offer real-time recognition performance on images. Then the DenseNet is another one, which is a very thorough connectivity and very heavy network. And I like to highlight CapsuleNet. And then comes the RCNN family, again, the mask RCNN and the faster RCNN. And 2018, it started with a big thing, the Deep Lab. So there are a large number of developments from the universities, from corporation giants like Google and Microsoft, so many researchers and academia and in industry involved in this process. In 2019, 2021, there are two big things that I like to highlight again here. One of them is the YOLO variants. So YOLO V5 is at the moment the latest one, and the transformers. So the visual transformers, I would say, could be the next big thing for the next few years. So there are a lot of things happening, and we are very privileged to be a part of this journey, and we are doing research at around the same time. Along these interesting things are happening all around. Now, if we look at a deep learning network, so there are many things that differentiate a network from one to another. So one of them is the number of layers. So how many layers? So when you do a program as a project, you want to see how many layers, how many neurons, how many hidden layers, what would be the connectivity, what would be the architecture, and so many things. So I wanted to give you a break inside and what happens inside and how and why we use so many things and so many variations. So why so many layers? What is the advantage of that? Okay, so if we look at the VGG standard, so there are say it's a 3 hidden layer system here. So here, if you notice the first hidden layer, so the first hidden layer here, it looks at very low level features. For instance, the edges. Maybe the next higher level, it looks at a combination of edges that can form a shape like a rectangle, like a circle, like a line, like an ellipse, and so on. And the next higher level may combine these and get into a shape like object models and so on. So this visualization of these layers give us the interpretation inside, what's happening inside and how these so many layers are justified. So different layers, they achieve different things, and this learning is rather progressive. It's not like we just train a black box and get the results out of it. Although many people may like to see or think that, yeah, it's a black box. It's not. Here I put two very popular but very different network architectures. One is the VGG16, where we have 16 layers of the network. If you want to, I think it's a 16-layer network. And then on the ResNet side, I have picked up a network with 152 layers. So if you look at the VGG, the connections from convolution to convolution, it comes with different parameters, but the connections are sequential, one after another. So there is a bit of dense connectivity. In contrast, in the ResNet, if you look at, there are convolutions, there are sequential connections. However, there are skip connections as well, like short circuit connections. That way, sometimes the network will be able to jump across multiple blocks. If the learning is adequate, then it can jump over multiple blocks. So this way, the network becomes deep, and deeper the network, we say that it is more accurate, for instance. So, but now ResNet has a beautiful thing. It is deeper. However, because it has skip connections, it will be trained like in a relatively small amount of time. And that's why like VGG and ResNet are two very popular techniques because of their power and because of their computing speed in either way. Now, so, and look, there are hundreds of, I think, network. There are, if you look at the papers, like 7,000 papers all up in 9 months. So there will be half of them would come up with a little bit of tweaking and modification of the networks. So I'm not going into the details of that many networks. However, if you look at the common construct inside of any or most of the convolutional networks, you will see that there will be some input. You can say the X, and at each layer, there will be some weighting, and there will be a bias or a set of bias like a layer. So these X would be multiplied with the W, and then the bias would be added in terms of some cost functions. So you learn something, and once you learn in something in the dense block, then it goes to an activation function. Here I wrote ReLU. ReLU is the de facto one, like very popular one. So if you use ReLU, it will make a decision based on this data and pass something to the next layer and so on. So I thought like, okay, while this structure and architecture are very popular in the research community, let's bring something that is relatively less popular in terms of research, but there is a huge potential. So I thought like bring it today to the talk so that the audience maybe get interested in it. So the ReLU is now an interesting piece which does the activation, and the other activation, popular activation function could be sigmoid. Now between ReLU and sigmoid, ReLU is more popular because look at the calculation. ReLU is very easy, like calculate either 0 or max, like maximum of 0 or X. It means drop all the negative things, make them 0, give them a sparsity here. And then the remaining part is a linear curve. So it's like X, it goes as big as X is. On the other hand, sigmoid, it takes computation. You have to do an exponential. So it takes computing wise, it's costly. That's one part of it. The second part of it, ReLU, if you take the differentiation, because in the backpropagation of a network, there will be a differential first order derivative calculation. So differential for ReLU is very easy, a straight line, small range. On the other hand, the sigmoid is like really, it goes quite differently, and it is sometimes it forms a little curve and then go plateaued and so on. So because of these complexities, ReLU is very popular. However, we did some work about this, that if we take the ReLU and the feature space after some training, it will look like the picture here, where we have a number of classes that they're in different colors. But the space, the feature space is really sparse. Number one, the feature points go very far, and then counting them, it will be lengthy. But more importantly, the distinctiveness at the core of the center of the network, center of the space here, is a very good room for misclassification. So it can lead to misclassifications quite easily because there is no clear distinction between them. So ReLU is good in terms of computation, in terms of some performance, but it offers two problems: compact feature and then distinctiveness. So both way it is a bit of weak. So there are many variants of ReLU available, like leaky ReLU and so many of them. One of them is called low pass filter with ReLU. So with the low pass filter ReLU, the feature space now become compact. See, all those distant pixels are gone, it becomes compact. However, the distinctiveness in the core of the network space is still challenging. So people combine ReLU with some feature transforms, like discrete cosine transforms. Discrete cosine transform has a beautiful feature that will allow the core to be sparse. So that will stop the low pass filters to go away. So the core will become sparse, but not good enough, but at the same time, but it will still have that problem of compactness, the sparsity of the features. So what we did is we combined like the low pass value together with DCT within the framework of Nyquist sampling theory. So that way, what happens is our feature space become compact, and also at the very core of the network, the classification becomes relatively easier. And this activation function, it gives computationally better results. Although there are some additional calculations, so computational time-wise, it will be a little bit expensive. However, we found that while ReLU needs, like, number of epochs links them tens of thousands, with this low pass DCT ReLU, it converges quite quickly. So overall training time was lower than the typical ReLU. So like this is one of the ways that we looked at ReLU, how we can change the activation function. And I believe this can lead to far more research in this space, so that we come up with customized activation functions that can lead to, like, specific applications, especially when we are dealing with real-time solutions for embedded systems, or using these devices now in agricultural setting, or like live demonstration of things like autonomous vehicles and so on. So this could be very useful there. So that's one example that we thought, like, go inside the network and see what we can see there. So now here I give a bit of summary of our projects that we do in our lab. I think the last 5 or 6 years. So it's only one slide, but it's a dense slide. So as a researcher, my core area of research is 2D and 3D object detection and classification, pattern recognition. That was my start, like back in 2015-16. So this is very much computer vision problem. It is not really a deep learning problem, but computer vision slided into deep learning very quickly. And we have so many application areas of deep learning and computer vision. So one of them is robotics. So we have like robots in our lab that can walk, that can track people, follow you, can help make decisions, look at objects and classify them, can make your tables tidy, help in the kitchen and so on. So that are robot like. So bottom line, the projects would be object detection, classification, and then grasping and picking and place and things like that. So that's robots. So if you go up, YouTube, we have a channel, so you can see those robots that are in action. Then we have multimodal biometrics, cybersecurity and forensic investigation, and audiovisual biometrics. So biometrics, like, the physical traits that we have, like fingerprint, eyes, or audiovisual means the way we speak, our face, projection of words, and so on. So what happens with biometrics is we can use our biometrics, we can achieve accuracies, no problem. However, if the biometrics are lost, hacked by someone, or compromised, the problem is we can't change it. So we looked at another way of looking at the biometric problem, that we call it template security or revocability. That means if we use a transformed version of our biometrics, not the real biometric, a transformation of the biometrics, and then if we use a non-invertible transformation. So now you think of a scenario where the non-invertible version of the biometrics is compromised. So the bad guys, they know what was the transformation. They have the distorted version of the template. However, because it's non-invertible, they will not be able to reproduce the original biometric. So it means if we know your biometrics has been compromised, you can change your distortion mechanism, non-invertible distortion mechanism, and still use your original biometric. So we offered that solution using machine learning, using non-invertible matrix transformations, and so on. So we achieved really remarkable progress in that space. And here, cybersecurity, although I'm not a cybersecurity researcher, but one of the colleagues I can see in the audience, he was a student here and did some fantastic work in cybersecurity and forensic investigation using deep learning. In audiovisual biometrics, so we did quite a bit of work in terms of voice recognition. But what we did, like, being an image processing computer vision person, we take the acoustic signals and then convert them into like spectrograms, and then apply image processing on those spectrograms. So spectrograms are images of voice, similar to, you can say, like ultrasound images when you see the pregnancy test and things like that. So you project sound signals, but you get an image back. Very similar, when you capture the audio, we use spectrograms to make an image and then apply image processing on those images. So this is how we did some audiovisual research in terms of biometrics, in terms of acoustic scene classification and acoustic event detection. So I think our previous speaker had a very good summary of the state of the art, but this is my side work in terms of acoustic, but we did some work, so they're here. For me, we did some really fantastic work on shark and whale detection, and dugong is ongoing, and we also have an ongoing project for turtle. So we detect them and track them from videos. So this sounds very easy, however, it's not. Like if you look at footage for sharks or turtles, we have millions of images, hours of videos, and only a small fraction of those images really have a shark. So the problem is we can't miss them. So what we did is we did a three-step process. First, we apply a screening process, whether there is any live things in the image, and then whether that's a non-rigid or rigid, whether that's a shark or a non-shark, and then look at the shark species, like whether it's a white shark or tiger shark or a humpback and so on. So whatever the species is. So so once we have detected them, then we need to measure their length. Usually we call that, like, if a shark is less than 1.5 meter long or 1.8 meter long, then it doesn't matter. It is not really deadly. However, for humans, we don't want to really swim next to a shark, whichever shark species it is. We'd be scared of them. So this was a fantastic project for shark and whale detection. We also did some other projects for marine species recognition, swimmer and surfer counting, and some ultrasound based projects for ocean bed mapping and looking for objects like wreckages of buildings and so on. So all this project, they use some remote sensing techniques, and these days, in those early days, we used to fly a drone or a helicopter over the like areas for data collection. However, these days we now have floating sensors in the water, and then we transmit the data onto a base station on the shore, and then we use either NB-IoT type network or LoRa type networks to bring the data on campus, and then we apply them. So that is another front of research that's happening all around. Oh, what did I do? Okay. So, and then we do some medical space like digital pathology, that is from microscopic whole slide images. We look for lymph node and cancers. Eye health monitoring. This one is a glaucoma screening project. I especially mentioned it here because this project is actually in collaboration with Australian Lions Eye Institute and our partners from Indonesia. So we are running a project for massive screening of glaucoma in early childhood. That, okay, someone is in this condition at the moment, what would be their eye condition in 10 years time, 20 years time, and 60 years time? So that's the premise of this project. So it's a beautiful project, and we are working on that. And we apply deep learning and imaging technologies in that, together with their, like, their historical data like family, genetics, and so on. And nowadays, like, we are doing a number of projects on agriculture space. We call it digital agriculture, and they include soil health profiling, crop classification, weed management, pest and disease management, and so on. So one particular project that I'm really, I like to highlight, that's the soil health profiling. So in the past, soil health profiling were done like, using some sensors, like intrusive, like they go dig the soil and take some reading of the nitrogen or chemicals and others. But in our case, we can fly a drone on an image and fly over the land, even with a canopy, like 1 meter high plants. So we can see through the canopies into the soil and look for nitrogen content, look for carbon content, and so on, using some infrared properties of those materials. So for this project, we need to enhance actually the sensing facilities together with machine learning facilities. So it was a big project to achieve, and it's an ongoing project at the moment. So I don't want to go into the details of other projects, but I just want to say that these are all in AI and deep learning related projects. Here, the data-wise, we use RGB or RGBD or 3D data. We use skeletons. We use video, satellite, thermal data, acoustic data, sonar. So a variety of data. So whenever we see a multiple modality of the data, there will be a fusion issue or selection issue that which network are you going to use? Or if two networks, one from RGB and one from D, they're giving you conflicting results, what to do, which one to take, or how to mitigate that issue. So for that, we did a project, like a project for confidence detection or strength detection of those classifiers, and then apply the weighting between them or multiple of them. So that mechanism was also a learned like machine learning model-based technique that will learn the confidence of those multiple modalities and then make a decision about them. So yeah, look, I didn't put so many slides, but like just thought one slide should be good. So here, the underlying tasks are like, for any project like this in vision and imaging and machine learning, we say that there are three main problems. One is the detection. So whether there is an object of interest, an item of interest in the data, number one. Number two, if yes, where it is, localization. And number three, once you have found it, what it is, recognize it, classify it. So detection, localization, and classification or recognition, these are the three common problems that we have in most of these applications. Now, detection is a challenging problem, far more challenging problem than two others, because detection is the front end. Detection has to face a lot of data and then find out where the problem is, where the interest is. Localization is a second complex problem. You need to find out, say, a bounding box or a region of interest where it is. Once we have identified, like, yes, in this image, in that particular location, we have something. Can you please look at it? Then classification becomes a relatively easy problem. So in the past, traditionally, it was done in 3 steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, but nowadays you go it only once, so end to end. And this is how the problem becomes far more challenging. Now here, I like to just draw your attention about class imbalance. So these are the challenges that we face in real world problems. So it's always there. So one of the easiest ways tackle this problem is to do data resampling, like upsample. Class imbalance is a problem when, say, there are 2 class problem, and then one class has 90% of the data for training and other class has 10% data only. Now, because there are more data for training from one class, the network learned would be more biased to the majority class. So, which may not be a good thing, because the minority classes are rather more interesting and more important. Think of the shark scenario. Say 1 million images versus 10 images of shark, and 1 million are background images. But we cannot miss the sharks, so they are more important. So the techniques commonly used are like data resampling. For example, upsample the minority classes, so apply more and more data from the minority class, downsample the majority class, and so on. Augment the data, so make replication of the data in the minority class. There are many techniques about that, but I would highlight in the next slide that how deep learning can be applied to augment data. And the next one item is cost-sensitive learning. So that means we are not disturbing the data distribution. Rather, we are doing something the way the network learns, so that the network knows that, look, it is a minority class, and I cannot make a incorrect guess about the minority class. In majority class, it's okay if you make a mistake, but for a minority class, you can't make a mistake. So apply cost weighting, penalize cost inside the network, and that way the network will be very careful about learning the minority classes. And the last popular approach is ensemble learning, where you have multiple learners, multiple classifiers, they will learn, and there will be weighted voting between them to ensure that the class imbalance issue is mitigated. I like to highlight this particular one, the deep learning for data augmentation, especially the GAN, adversarial networks. So here I have 3 GANs. One is the typical normal GAN, where we have a data generator and a discriminator, and they will learn together to fool one to fool the other one. So the generator will generate the data, and then discriminator will be able to tell whether it is a real or a fake one. Based on that, they'll learn something. So this GAN, that will generate data irrespective of minority class or majority class. So if we need to increase data of the minority class and we don't know which class we are generating, then it's a problem. So it's not good enough. So next one is called a conditional GAN. So where we can put a condition that, look, I want to generate more data about the minority class, which is good. So here you also supply the class information in the generator, and the generator will generate data and discriminator will play with it, and they learn together, generate more data, which is good. But it becomes a little bit unstable because you request for generating a data for a minority class, but we are not sure whether it has generated a minority class or not. So you have to do something more. So what's more, feed the class that we need at the discriminator as well, so that the discriminator also can verify that yes, the data generated was for the target class. So that way, this series of GAN, like GAN, C-GAN, conditional GAN, and auxiliary classifier GAN, AC GAN, this is a progression of work that how we are now able to generate data of our choice. That I want to generate data like this, it will give you an exact copy of the data like that. Are we running out of time, or it's okay?
We still have a few minutes.
All right, so I'll be faster. Okay.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. Okay. So missing data. I don't want to go in the highlights, but especially in biomedical applications, missing data is a big concern when columns of data are not available, or in a multimodal situation when you have multiple streams of data you are expecting, but all of a sudden one of the modality failed to deliver you the data, or delivering incorrect data and you don't want to use them. So in any case, there's a missing data problem, and there are many solutions to have this missing data addressing to mitigate the missing data. One of the naive ways is just to drop the entire data which has a missing column, which may not be a good thing, but people do. But there are hundreds of other techniques, imputation, single imputation, double imputation, and so on. So that's all good, but here we in particular tackle a problem of missing data and class imbalance together. Think of a scenario, you have a minority class and some of the data are missing. They're already a minority class, and on top of this, a compounding problem of missing data. How do you handle it? So this is a very good work that we recently get it through. So I would recommend you, if you have time, please have a look. And here we want to generate class specific data so that the missing data issues are really resolved in the data space. All right. Anyway, so our future challenges. Deep learning, we are changing the performance. That's the biggest challenge. The challenge of ourselves. We are changing ourselves. Okay. The models will fit to data. I take the previous question someone asked about the universality and generalizability of data. Of models, that is always a challenge. However, there are ways now people are doing generalization or generalizability of the networks. Adversarial attacks, I'll cover this, and I will cover a couple of one more item, the high cost of hardware, and the last one, heat generation. So few challenges that I would like to cover here. First one, if you look at image classification on the ImageNet data set, human performance is about 5, the error rate. Okay. And if we look at VGG, had an error rate of 7.3, but today CNET or ResNext-T, they achieve twice as good results compared to human performance for image classification. So now how far you can go? The error rate is only 2% in a million. So the room is very narrow now. Okay, so that's a challenge that we are facing, and how far can we go? Okay, so that's one question. Second problem is adversarial problems. That means slightest change in the image can lead to an incorrect classification. For instance, here panda was classified with 57% accuracy. You add a very tiny noise, only 7 of 1,000, and then the image is now classified as a given with 99.3% confidence. See how vulnerable these deep learning models are. On the right panel, you see you have a banana. It shows a banana, but you add a small object in front of it. It is now misclassified as something else. All right. So this is adversarial problem, and these problems are there. So nowadays, the machine learning models are trained to be, defensive against such adversarial attacks. Parameter counts, too many parameters. If you look at this slide here, we have 136 million parameters for VGG, and this GPT 138. Sorry, GPT is 100. GPT-3 is 175 billion parameters. So training this many parameters, we need big networks, big data. Otherwise, it will be a overfitting problem, which is not necessarily will converge. Hardware, if you know Moore's law, that computing performance will double in every 2 years. That is Moore's law. It's happening since 1960. It was mentioned by Gordon Moore, the boss of IBM. Okay, so however, if you look at GPU performance is getting 35 times of that. So it's going really high pace. Still, we need more GPUs, multiple GPUs in a computer to learn these deep learning models. These two particular slides, it just came before my talk, 30th of September. So I thought I'd put them here. So here, diminishing returns from the deep learning models. To achieve a 5% improvement in the performance, it will need a large number of years of research. Why so? So here there are two problems. One is called sparsity problem, and other is the remaining part of the accuracy. That's a problem. Okay, so statistically, if we want to improve a performance of say k times, we need to increase the complexity will increase by k to the power 4 times. Now it means if we want to increase the performance of say 10%, it will need 10,000 times computations more. So this is how it's becoming very crazy these days. If we look at this next slide, it is more interesting, where to improve 5% of the performance, we need to train another 500 million parameters, about 500 million parameters to reduce the performance by a little bit. And if someone did this work, if we equate to that, heat generation of the GPU computations and so on, that is worth 1 month of heat generation by the city of New York. So it's quite expensive these days. So there are lots of negativities happening. So bottom line, we have to do things differently than what we are doing today. We need something different, some breakthroughs needed after a decade of massive growth in deep learning. Future, I put 6 items for future. One is the vision transformer to achieve high performance, reinforcement learning for achieving high performance and sustained challenge for a long period of time, embedded and low resource deep learning. That is, you want to have a deep learning model on your mobile phone or some other, or your home sensor cameras, video surveillance cameras, and so on. So you need low resource machine learning. Maybe you are happy to drop a little bit of accuracy, but it has to be low resource. It cannot have the big GPUs and so on. And next one is level efficient learning. That means we want to deal with unsupervised or weakly supervised learning, where we don't have a lot of labeled data available upfront. Data collection is easy. Labeling them is not easy, costly. Generalized domain adaptation, that's a technique where you deal with universality and generalizability, and explainable AI for better interpretation of the AI models and their results, so that we understand them better. So these are few areas like in the near short term, there will be a lot of emphasis, and that's what happening and will be happening for the next couple of years. So what's the big thing? So today we are AI, and at some point I show you an example of image classification. It was better than humans. However, overall, like, dexterity, movement, intelligence, decision making is far below human performance. By 2040, in 20 years time, it may be equal to human intelligence, and then far greater by another 20 years time. So still there's a long mile to go, and we're not dead yet. So it's happening. And if you look at, like, the market trends, the market is trending up. There will be direct capital expenditure and direct market size. And here is a progression slide for the next 5 years or so. So you can see that there will be a massive growth in software, in services, and in hardware, all these spaces. So yeah, so that's my talk. So I tried to give you a brief summary of deep learning and related issues, a number of architectures, few challenges, and some of our projects. And I believe new varieties will emerge, and you will be a part of that that area. And we have a long way to go, and long way to go together. And here are the few people that I work together, and I have put almost everyone's work in these slides. So yeah, I just put their pictures. We don't work in the same lab, but we work all around the world. Thank you. So that's my email address. Any direct email would be good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Ferdous, for the nice talk. We've got 3 gentlemen who submitted their questions. Quite a number, eh? I'm going to read through one by one, and you can answer the questions. First is from Matt Ervin Middle. He's got 2 questions, actually. The first question is, what application or field is in need of deep learning now, so that we don't repeat studies over and over again? Second question is a more technical one. I would like to ask your opinion regarding optimization solvers. Which one is the best? STDM, ATAM, or RMS PROP? Thank you very much.
Okay, sorry. Like, let me. Can you please tell me there are a few I can see. Okay, can I start from the bottom, or which question? Sorry.
It was the first one up. I'm gonna repost on the chat room.
Is it for Baskoro?
That is the last one. I'm gonna repost the question in the chat room. Yep. So those are the 2 questions that are first submitted.
I think I got it. I got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So, what application field in deep learning is in need of deep learning? Almost everyone. Look, my short answer is almost everyone. So academically, research-wise, research have been done quite far. However, application-wise, look at medical space. These people still are not ready to accept or embrace that high. However, when you offer them solutions that, say, I give an example. In a hospital in Australia, I know, and in the UK as well. So when a patient come into a hospital and they are done with that treatment and they are now going back home, whether you release a patient or not, there are two questions. If you release the patient, go back home, and the patient comes back to the hospital for the same disease again within a month, government will take money out of the hospital. So the hospitals cannot send somebody home and the person return within a month. On the other hand, if you keep the patient in the hospital just in case, you're occupying a bed, which is not necessarily a good thing. So the hospital doctors, they have to take a decision about whether this patient can go home or there is a chance of coming back in a month time. So to do that, they have to look at 250 parameters to make a decision. And the doctors are very busy, so they sometimes make rush through, and these decisions are not necessarily good. So what we offer that, look, based on a patient's profile, we can offer you 5 or 10 features. You look at them and we give you a predictive analysis, and then see your 250 parameters. You don't need to look at all of them. You look at only 5. So, and it's working, and they're using it now. The clinics are using it now. Okay. So this is how we need to see that this area would be really interesting, the health space. environmental monitoring would be another one. Although we say that we are generating a lot of heat content and so on, that's for computation, that's a different issue. But like, look at the oceans. How many of this type of animals are there? Or when the mining companies make a mine or do some prescribed burning of some lands and areas, what are the environmental impact? How many animals are there? Who are there? So this many things would be really interesting. So environmental monitoring would be another thing, and harvest, for example, agriculture. So in Australia at the moment, our borders are shut, so no one can travel. But in the past, there will be people, expert people who are good in harvesting, cutting crops, arrive from some countries. They cannot come. The farmers are in trouble. They're ruining their harvest on the fields. So we offered them some solutions to apply machineries using robotics appliances. So they're okay to use, but they're not ready yet. It will take a year or two time. So overall, I would say health, environment, and agriculture, there will be a lot more applications. There are a lot more applications that need to be solved before we enhance the application far more. So application-wise, there are plenty of applications that need to be solved. And the second part, the technical one, I like to ask your opinion. Okay, now look, this is a good one, like ADAM or SGDM or this. I don't want to make a competition between them. So ADAM would be easy and very popular, and it doesn't really matter which one you use. That is only an optimizer. You may come up with a better optimizer, no problem with that. So this one, I don't want to raise a competition between, you have 3 children, who is the better one? I don't want to do that. They're all good. Depending on the situation, someone may be able to do it better, someone else maybe do other things better. All right, thank you. All right, next question.
I'm going to repost the question again, Professor. It's from Pascoro. So yeah, I can read the question. Okay. So yeah. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I have a question about deep learning implementations. From your experience, what are the common mistakes people do to avoid when yeah. So what are the common mistakes people make, and particularly in cybersecurity area? Now, okay, the common mistakes. First of all, premise of the problem. That what is your problem? Define the problem first. That what exactly I am going to do. Number one. Number two, whether we have adequate data, whether the data is of quality. Number two. Once we have these two things together, then I would go through like a simple toolbox called Tricks of the Trade, like a book. It's a chapter. Read that. So you'll be able to understand which model would give you a reasonable answer. You start with that. Once you implement it, you will see there are some accuracies, but some mistakes. I am more interested about the mistakes that the network is making. Look at the mistakes. I will print them in front of my eyes or on a big wall, put them there, and look at what are the common patterns that they have. And that's why these mistakes or errors are happening. Now try to fix them. So it's a dirty process, lengthy process. You learn from experience. Some people are really happy about the results itself, but not the mistakes. So that is a mistake, in my opinion. I give an example. Say with class imbalance, if we have 1,000 images and 999 of them are in one class and only one in the other class, and you are classifying all of them into one basket. So that means you are 99.9% accurate, but your recall rate is 0. So look at different metrics. So that way you know exactly what you are looking at, and are they related or relevant to your problem setting, what you did at the very beginning. I think these are the small things. Other than that, I think everything is good. Deep learning is good, like you download the code. Our computer science community is very good, generous. They publish a paper, release their code, all the models, all the data. In many other fields, people will hide it. Oh, it's my patent, it's my data. In our case, we publish, everything goes in GitHub. See archive. You submit a paper to somewhere. Even before submitting, you put the paper on archive so that people can read it. It's very generous, it's very good. All right, thank you. There's a next question I've just posted from Hatma.
Is it Hatma? Yeah, Hatma
Yeah,
question.
it is from Hatma, yes.
Hatma's questions. What do you think about using quantum technologies to accelerate? Yeah, it's a very good question, and I know this question. And look, I'm not sure. It could be good because quantum computing has a lot of promise, but I'm not sure to realize it how far we are today. So maybe we can use quantum algorithms within deep learning, which would be, we can do it today, tomorrow, no problem. But actual quantum computers, I was reading a story from one of the very famous Australian ANU researcher who is called like one of the forefathers of quantum computing. In his opinion, quantum computers today is equivalent to our desktop computers in the 1960s or 70s. So we are 50 years behind in time. So computing wise, not there yet, but if you want to use the quantum computing algorithms on our regular computers to solve the simulation, solve the problem, that's definitely doable. Okay, a secondary question. In the future, will quantum computing play significant roles? Yeah, it can, such as GPUs right now. Look, GPUs are now built on like our traditional technologies, like a binary 0 and 1. So if we have a quantum computer and you want to have a quantum made GPU, yeah, it could be future, but I don't know if I will see it in my lifetime. There will be some prototype devices, that's for sure, but not necessarily a commercial bandwagon about that. Okay, and one more question from
this one
Harry.
is last question. Last question from Michael Seek.
How about Ari Mazaruddin?
That's me.
Oh, you have a question?
No, that's not. I'm the moderator, so I'm just.
Oh, yeah, sorry, you repeated the question. Okay, all right. Thanks. You're so good.
So that is the Michael Seek from Michael Seek.
Michael
That is
Seek,
the last
thank
one.
You for the nice question.
For today. Yeah.
What strategies can be utilized to build stable and reliable deep learning models for application of adversarial? So adversarial. So the question is about adversarial attacks. So how we can defend against adversarial problems. Okay. So this is a very good question actually, and people are scrambling for good research. So there are many ways of people are doing it at the moment. We try to use, for example, low pass. See the example that I gave, the low pass filter with ReLU with DCT. So DCT is a very beautiful thing there. So whenever there is a tiny perturbation of the data, tiny distortion in the data, DCT is very quick and able to filter it out. So that's one approach could be done using filtering, but there is a different branch of people, group of people. They are doing adversarial attack generation and defense against one pixel problems or noise problems or tiny perturbations like tiny ImageNet C or corruptions and things like that. So there is no systematic solution that look this one, if there is I don't know upfront whether there is an attack or not, but that's why we need to apply a range of defensive strategies so that if there is any, then it is protected. So it's not like I know already that there is a problem, then it becomes a semi-automatic solution, and we don't want to have a semi-automatic solution. So I would rather use a pool of solutions injected inside the network, so that it can navigate as per the merits of the attack. I hope it answers the question.
Yep. Michael C, can you confirm that answer is okay? Yep, thank you. Yeah, Professor Ferdous, I think that concludes our session today. Thank you for your nice presentation, and the responses from the audience was wonderful.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me. And yeah, look, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, and you can search my name on Google and find some more of our interesting works. And I'd be very happy to be connected with all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Ferdous Sohel. And next up, we will come to the next keynote speaker, Professor Tohari Ahmad. Let me read through the curriculum vitae before he starts his presentation. Professor Tohari Ahmad received his bachelor degree in computer science or informatics from Institut Teknologi Sepuluh Nopember or ICTS, Indonesia. In year 2000, he received his master degree from the Information Technology Department from Monash University. And in year 2007, he received his PhD degree in computer science from the RMIT University, Australia. Or maybe in 2012, sorry. Okay, before he starts his presentation, I would like to read through the abstract of the presentation. The title of the presentation today is Reversible Data Hiding, an approach for securing private data. The abstract is the security factor can be a severe issue if private data, such as military and medical data, is unprotected. Furthermore, an attacker may be able to disclose such data. Some algorithms have been introduced to solve that problem, one of which is the data hiding method. Nevertheless, some factors are still challenging concerning the capacity of the private data and the quality of the generated data, which are represented by bits and peak signal-to-noise ratio, respectively. Besides, some techniques are not reversible, which means that they cannot reconstruct the carrier. In this session, he will talk about his research progress to improve those factors. Without further ado, please, Professor Tohari, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Pak Ari. I'll share my file. Is my voice clear now?
Voice is clear. Screen is coming up.
Okay, let me. Okay. Thank you. Hello, everyone. In this talk, we would like to discuss about the reversible data hiding. This is an approach for securing the private data. As previously has been described by Professor Tsao and also by Professor Sohel, that in this digital era, computer network have become a popular media for people to communicate, like we are showing in this slide. The ease of data transfer leads to the increasing of the communication traffic. Either it is wired or wireless. As shown, for example, here we have some smart devices and connecting to the laptop, connecting to the server, and so on. And as a result, the number of internet users worldwide has significantly grown for some last decades. Overall, the transmitted data can be text, image, audio, or even video, which can also be categorized as public and private or confidential data. Security has been an essential factor because the internet connection, which initially may be designed without much worrying about bad users, has been suffering from various types of attacks, like interception, as illustrated in this slide. I think this diagram also, or this illustration is very common in the security discussion, that we have Alice, Bob, and also Dad. And usually we have that Bob and Alice communicate each other while Dad is intercepting that communication. The interception itself does not change the data, which make it difficult to trace. And as we show here, that Bob is sending a message to Alice, while Dad, as a third party, illegally tapping their communication. Among the security properties that should be protected, confidentiality is often the primary target. It is likely that the massive attack start from compromising this property. So from the confidentiality, And consequently, other properties like the availability and also the integrity can also be taken in further attack process. So there must be mechanism to protect them, the data that being transferred between each parties to avoid the compromising these properties, including confidentiality, integrity, and also the availability. Because we know that confidentiality is to prevent the other parties to disclose the private data, while the integrity, we can maintain the integrity of the data itself and also the system. So from the integrity, we can categorize into groups. The first is the data integrity, and the second is the system integrity. While the availability, it is like the integrity properties can be categorized in two groups also, which is the data and the service. This diagram shows the security system hierarchy. Even though this structure is about 10 years old, but I believe that this is still relevant to be used until now, because we see that the classification doesn't change much. And this hierarchy, we see that there are two big groups that constructing the security system. The first is the cryptography, and the second is the information hiding. At the cryptography, I believe that we all know about that. Cryptography transform the plain text or the original data to the other domains, so it is becoming unreadable. While the information hiding can be divided into groups, it is steganography, and the second is the watermarking. And in this research, in our research that we are conducting, we work on this field. So from this information hiding part, we go to this steganography, and further we are doing this technical steganography, which can be in the image, video, audio, and text. While in other research, watermarking is divided into two groups, whether it is robust and also it is whether or fragile. And in further division, the robust watermarking can further be classified into imperceptible, visible, and also the fingerprint. From this diagram, we see that there is differences. And there are some differences between steganography, or we call also as data hiding, and watermarking. Moreover, if we compare it with cryptography, the data hiding or steganography is quite different. Overall, the data hiding scheme can be depicted here, that there are payload. For example, we put this in the binary number like 1101 and so on. And then this payload is put in the original carrier. This original carrier, after being embedded by this payload, will be the stego file like this. So we illustrate the stego file as here, but that it is actually in the original carrier, but we also put this payload inside that. We can find that there are two classification of data hiding. The first is the RDH, or we call as reversible data hiding, and the second is irreversible data hiding. Reversible data hiding means that the receiver or the destination parties here
You just disconnected. Can you please reshare your screen?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Is it okay now?
Yes, we can see your screen. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we start again. Then the data hiding scheme can be illustrated in this screen. We have the secret or the payload. It can be a binary file or binary value like here, 11011 and so on. And this payload put in the carrier or cover. And the result will be in this deco file like this. This deco file actually is the same as the carrier or the cover, but it is embedded by the payload. The illustration is in this value. This deco file is then sent to the destination by the sender or by the embedding parties. And after received by the receiver or by the destination parties, this deco is extracted into two different data. The first is the carrier or the cover. It is similar to the sender here. And the second is the payload or the secret itself, like here. So this scheme, based on this scheme, we can divide the type of the data hiding into two groups. The first is reversible data hiding or RDH, and the second is irreversible data hiding. What is the difference between those two classifications? The difference is that in the first classification, in the reversible data hiding, both the payload and the carrier can be obtained by the receiver. So the requirement is that these two files must be able to be extracted. But in the reversible data hiding, the receiver just focuses on extracting the payload. He or she doesn't care about the carrier on the cover because they may think that the cover on the carrier is not important to do in the further process steps. And in our research, so far we are working in the first classification, that is in the reversible data hiding, or we call as RDH here. There are some parameters that we can use to measure the performance. The first is the capacity, and the second is quality, and reversibility, and the fourth is complexity. Actually, there are some other parameters that we can use to measure the performance of the algorithm, but usually we focus on these two first characteristic. The first is the capacity, and the second is the quality. What does that mean, the capacity and the quality? The capacity is the payload size that we can put in the carrier or in the cover, as many as possible. And based on the capacity, we also measure the quality, which is represented as in the PSNR, or also in the SSIM and some other measurement parameters. Both these two parameters, capacity and quality, must be measured in the same time because their values are compensate each other. So there's a trade-off usually between capacity and the quality. If we focus on the capacity, we usually obtain the quality will drop, and vice versa. While the reversibility means that both the payload and also the cover can be recovered, but sometimes the cover cannot be fully extracted from the sticker file. And the complexity is often connected to the security. It is about how difficult the attacker extract the sticker file to obtain the payload without knowing the algorithm. So actually these parameters are all important, but we usually focus on these first two, capacity and the quality. And various medium can be used to be to the cover of RTH. Like here, we have the image, video, and also the audio, as we previously described in the security system hierarchy. In general, those can be implemented directly in the form of spatial or in the transform domain, which need to be transformed by using some algorithm like in the common transformation. For example, here we have image-based RTH that we know that new information hiding methods are always needed to remove limitation or throwback encounter in the previous one in order to increase their performance. And in this direction, we design a new data hiding method that is developed based on the previous one. It is like the different expansion or also the reduced different expansion, DE or RDE respectively. Now we'll take a look at some algorithm implemented in the different medium. And it is worth noting that the payload can be any binary file as we described before. We process the embedding by taking this binary value, either 1 or 0. And so as long as it is in binary, the payload is applicable. First, we take an image as the cover here. It is divided into a block consisting various number of pixels. For example, here we have 2 by 2 and also 1 by 2 pixel block size here. So for example, here in the left we have U2 and U1 and U2. It represents the pixel in a block. And in other approach, we can also implement this like 2 by 2 pixel block, U0, U1, U2, U3. So from this cover image, we divide many, or we have many blocks depending on the algorithm, whether the block size is like this, 1 by 2, 2 by 2, or even 4 by 4, and so on. And usually we calculate the difference between this pixel value. For example, here, from this block, we calculate this phi is equal to U1 minus U2. It means that the different pixel value is represented by this value, which is phi here. And if we are talking about 2 by 2 pixel block, we also have 4 different values. For example, we have here phi 0 that is calculated based on U0 and U3. But how we can calculate this actually depends on the algorithm that we design, because it can be various and it is different from algorithm to algorithm. Based on our experience, we also find the calculation here, not always like this. It is just an example. One of the algorithms that we are designing can be described as here, that we specified the range. Previously, we discussed how to calculate the difference between pixels in the blocks. To avoid the problem, we just specified range between -2 and 2 or +2 here. Why we limit the range here? Because we don't want to have the overflow or underflow values in the pixel. Problem, we just limit the specified difference value to be between -2 and +2 here. The method allows the secret data to be hidden in both positive and negative difference calculated between pixel, and which is different from the previous one that hide data only in the smooth area. The smooth area can be said that the difference between the pixel value in a block is only 1 or 0. And in our development, we extend that algorithm. Furthermore, their method has only considered positive value, which may have a huge impact on the embedding capacity due to the many values which are not utilized for embedding data. We can infer that such consideration can lead to a significant reduction of payload capacity for image when the presence of smooth areas is rare. As previously described in the previous slide, we see that capacity is one of the measurements that we need to consider. Hence, the main goal of this method is to increase the embedding capacity while maintaining good quality, which is represented as the PSNR value. And in this way, to range that control the embedding process are provided in order to ameliorate the performance. To preserve the quality of the STICO, the secret data are not concealed on the values which are out of both range. Some of the expression for embedding, those are taken from the previous algorithm. However, the extraction algorithm are totally different. Moreover, the modulus function that is integrated in this algorithm to make the extraction process straightforward. So it does not remove the complexity in recovering the concealed data. And to demonstrate the functionality of this proposed scheme, the necessary steps required to conceal the extract secret data are presented in this algorithm. For further detail in the how the algorithm works, we can find it in the article. This diagram is to illustrate the design and functionality of the scheme. And for example, here we have some blocks. For example, we have the first block consisting two pixel value, 181 and 180. We take it as the first block. And we calculate the difference between those two pixel values. We have 1. Because of this value, we put TRT. TRT is the tracing table. And there are two possible values that we can put in this TRT table. The first is 0 and the second is 1. If the difference is not more than 1 or it is in the specified range, then TRT will be 0. It means that it is embeddable. But if it is in outside of the specified range, then we put the TRT as 1. Based on this TRT value, then we perform or calculate the phi prime. It is the modified difference value based on the previous phi value. From this, we have that 1 is plus 1 is equal to 2. It is based on this equation here, modified difference. Phi prime is the modified difference, while the phi is the original difference, the original difference between two pixel values, and p here is the payload. For example, we have the payload is 11110 here in the secret message. We take the first bit or the first binary value to be embedded in this block. So we have p is 1 and we put it here. After we obtain the phi prime or the modified difference, we calculate the new pixel value to be put in this STICO file, which is represented as U1 prime. For this purpose, we have this equation. U1 prime is equal to U1 plus phi prime. So based on this example, we have that U1 prime is 183 here. So there are the difference is 2 between this STICO pixel and the original pixel. The original pixel value is 181, but the STICO, after we embed the data into this pixel, we have it 183 here. So there is noise here. We see there are two different value here. And the second value in the same block is remain the same, so we don't change it. And this step is repeated until all pixel value or blocks in the original cover is processed. Next, the sender gives this to the receiver, and the receiver would like to try extracting this to have the original payload and also the cover whenever it is possible. After getting the STICO file, the receiver take the first block, which is 183 and 180 here, and calculate the phi double prime. It is the different value between those two pixels in the same block. We see that the difference is 3, and if we compare with the original one, it is different because the original pixel value different is only 1. Yeah, we know that it is because there is an embedding payload in this block pixel, and this TRT is obtained from the sender directly. We know that it is no 0 or nil. It means that it is embeddable. So we need to extract the payload from this pixel block. Next, the receiver will calculate this one, the p prime, which is 3, and modulus 2. Here we implement modulus function because we know that the specified range is between -2 and +2 here, and we implement it to have this p prime, and we compute the original pixel value to have the u1 by calculating or by reducing this first bit in the stego block pixel 183 minus cell 183 minus 180 divided by 2, and we have 181. If we compare this pixel value to the original one, it is the same, so there is no difference. And the extraction is repeated until all pixel blocks in the stego file are extracted. Based on this scheme, it is possible that we have single layer or multi-layer. What is the difference between single layer and multi-layer here? Single layer means that the embedding is done one times only to the original cover. And in multi-layer, we repeat the embedding to the stego file multiple times until we put all the payload in that cover file. And based on the block scenario, we can also make it as whether it is overlap or non-overlap. Overlap means that the pixel block here will overlap with the next block. For example, the first block is 181 and 180, and the second block is 180, 112. It is overlap. But if we make it as a non-overlap, the second block will start at 112 and followed by 138 and so on. Those characteristics has advantages and disadvantages. So we cannot say which one is better because it depends on the environment. We implement and evaluate the methods in two different data sets. The first is the medical data set, and the second is the common data set taken from this public database, and we obtain that the PSNR value is more than the minimum threshold. As we know that the minimum threshold of the embedding stego file is 30 decibel. So 56, yeah, on the average is much higher than the minimum specified threshold. This PSNR is obtained by this 0.0673 ppb bit per pixel. So we calculate the capacity directly to the PSNR because we cannot calculate the capacity and PSNR in different environment. We should calculate it together. The second one and also an image like here. In the previous research, we find that frame is calculated or put based on this architecture. And we propose to use this one. This is in the figure 3 here, because we believe that by designing the prediction error in each different frame will make the capacity increases. Of course, we also estimate that the quality will reduce because of this increasing capacity. By designing this prediction error or the PE here. Prediction error is calculated by calculating the difference between the first and the second frame. We have some PE or the prediction error and generate the frame generating PE and generate a histogram based on those characteristics. So we have the histogram from frame and also from the prediction error. After we have the histogram, we find the peak and 0 points, which determine the direction of the shifting. Because before we embed the pilot to this video, we need to shift the histogram based on the value of the generated histogram from PE and also from the frame here. And finally, after we have the shifting and embedding process, we done this process, we remove the PE and put the value into the frame. So in the final sticker file, we don't have the PE anymore because the change will be applied to the frame. This is just an illustration how to calculate the PE and generate the histogram. We have frame 1 and frame 2. And based on these two frames, we calculate the PE like this. This is the histogram of the PE, and this is the histogram of of the frame 2. In this design, we ignore the frame 1. So we don't need to calculate the histogram of that frame. We only consider these two histogram from PE and from frame 2. This is an example how we process the embedding. Sampling of the frame 2 is represented in here, and this is sampling of PE or the prediction error. You see that there are some differences. For example, in the value itself, like here, because this histogram is generated from the frame, the value must not be negative. So we have starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on until 255 actually. And from the PE or the prediction error, we have that the value is varied because it is obtained by calculating the difference between the two frames. And based on the peak and 0 point, we decide the direction of the shifting. This is just an example how we perform the direction. This is the shifting of the frame 2, and this is shifting of the PE. And embedding is processed after the direction of the shift is performed. So the shifting direction is implemented, and then the histogram is shifting, and finally we put the pilot in that histogram. We can compare the value between the original sampling and the embedded sampling here, between this first row and this third row. There are some differences because the third row here represent the histogram where we already embed the pilot. And based on the evaluation, we have this result. We implement 16 video file by using different pilot size, starting from 1 kilobit to 100 kilobit. And this is the resulted PSNR value. For example, for the video 1, by embedding 1 kilobit, we obtain 85 decibel of PSNR and so on. Of course, this calculation also depends on the duration of the video, because if the payload size is static like this, but the video duration is quite long, the PSNR value will increase because there are many unchanged frame value. Next, we also perform research in the audio disc RDH. This is just an example. We have audio file, and then we sampling the audio signal, and we perform or implement the interpolation algorithm to extend the possible capacity of before the embedding process is implemented here. The illustration can be extended like this. For first, we have the audio sample. For example, we have the value is 80, and then second sample is 90, the third is 80, and so on here. This is the original audio file. After we interpolated the sample, we extend the number of the audio sample here. So we have almost double of the original audio sample. And we only embed the payload in the sample resulted from the interpolated step. So we know this information, and it is useful when we extract this embedded bit in the extraction process, because we only focuses on the sample whose index is in the odd number. For example, number 3, it means that it is originated or resulted from the interpolated sample. And after we perform the embedding by implementing our algorithm, the diagram changes like this. If we compare this, the embedded audio sample to this original audio sample, it's quite different. For example, we have in the second one, the value here is 87, but here is 90. So it is quite different. To reduce the noise, to make it as the same as possible to the original one, we perform this smoothing step. If we compare here between this embedding, after embedding, but before smoothing, and after embedding, after smoothing, the diagram will be different. We compare like this. It is it is almost similar to the original one. Even it is not 100% same with to the original cover.
Mr. Tohari, let me remind you, we only have a couple of minutes away from the break. Session break.
Thank you, Ari. Yeah, we implement the research in the 15 audio file with different genre like this. So we have 15 different implementation in various instruments and also genres, starting from cello, acoustic guitar, piano, saxophone, voice, and also the genre is country folk, and so on here, taken from the public database. Based on this evaluation, we find that the capacity, the maximum capacity is obtained from the, for example, number 3 here. Number 3 is from the pop rock. If we check the other file, the other pop rock combined with other instrument will have the maximum capacity. On the contrary, the good quality audio stereo data can be obtained from, for example, number 2, which is the classical. So we further investigate what's the difference between the pop rock and the classical genre here. And in further development, we develop this algorithm. It is in the different research, and so we, in the general, have the same result. That pop rock is good to have the high capacity, and the classical is for the quality. So after we design some different algorithm, the result is almost the same. And finally, in the current progress, we are investigating to implement the RTH by using the SAML secret sharing, where the stereo file is divided or shared to some different stereo file. The problem is that after we make it into some other different stereo file, the quality reduced significantly. And this is the contact of our lab. That if we need to discuss further, we can contact to this email or in this website. Thank you, Pak Ari.
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation, Professor Tohari. We've got a couple of questions in the chat room. First is from Pak Agus Subhan Akbar. The question is it possible that embedding hidden information on image or video will reduce the quality of image or video? Is there a tolerance measure for this deterioration?
Yeah, thank you, Agus Subhan. Yes, there are minimum threshold that we need to consider. For example, for the image, the minimum PSNR value is about 30 or 35. So if we obtain the stego file whose PSNR value is below that, we need to redesign our algorithm. And I think there is also a minimum threshold for the video and also for the audio. It is an equivalent. But we also need to consider the duration for the respective audio, because the size of the cover will affect the value of the PSNR.
Right, moving on to the next question from Mr. Niti Kuruswa Jean Delacroix. Forgive me if I mispronounce it. Two questions actually. The first question is regarding image, audio, or video-based steganography. Can't the cover type, for example, image type, video type, audio type, affect the metric of a stego file? If yes, what are the most recommended cover types to yield the best result with stego files? That is the first question. And then the second question is, by comparing image-based steganography, audio-based steganography, and video-based steganography, which one to be recommended for sensitive data? Maybe this one is the most secure compared to the others. That is the second question.
Yeah, thank you, Jan. Yes, for the image, we take the raw data. So actually, we can use or implement various image types, for example. But at the moment, we just focus on the raw data. In the next, I think we can try to use another image type, also from the audio and also the video. And the second one is that, yes, I think all cover types can be used, not only image, but also video and also audio. It depends on the algorithm that we design to be implemented in that medium. Thank you, Ari.
Are those two questions already answered? Mr. Yan, can you confirm? Maybe it's already answered. All right, that is okay. It's already confirmed that it's already answered. This question is already answered. All right, thank you. That is thank you, Professor Tohari, for the speak and the interaction between the audience and the speaker. That is a wrap for our keynote speaker today. Let me invite the Master of Ceremony to take over the session. Alsapila, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Also, thank you to Professor Tsao, Professor Ferdous Sohel, and Professor Tohari Ahmad, as well as Ari M. Siddiqui, PhD, for moderating those speeches.
The next session is break time and followed by the parallel sessions. The parallel session will be held at 12:30, which is around 27 minutes from now, until 4 p.m. So please, all participants, both authors and presenters, attend the parallel session before that.
After the parallel session finished, we will have closing remark of first day of ICTS 2021 by Conference Chair Hudan Studiawan, PhD.
On behalf of the committee, as well as the Department of Informatics and Institut Teknologi Sepuluh Nopember, we would like to apologize for any inconvenience.
Thank you very much for coming to this conference.